Marvel. The devastation of natural disasters begins. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 201 Tang Feng played at cleaning up the mess. Who? Fire. Melinda first pointed a gun at Wanda and asked, seeing that the two agents were thrown out of nowhere, and decisively issued an attack order. Phil Coulson looked at Wanda suspiciously, and soon remembered who Wanda was from the numerous mutant files, and quickly stopped everyone from attacking. It's just that he reacted a little late, and all the agents, including Melinda, had already pulled the trigger. Wanda raised both hands high. Before she landed, she had already seen the power of the Rubik's Cube gun, and she didn't dare to neglect it. The power of chaos erupted, and the crimson power took her, Lorna, Sky, and retreated together at the same time. A large piece of concrete floor also rose up, blocking the side of the three girls, blocking the laser beams one after another. After training in the military and going through a graded war, Wanda was already an excellent fighter without hesitation, and then she fought back. Concrete fragments shattered by laser beams crashed into Linda and other agents. Be careful of evasion. Melinda was shocked. She didn't have time to shoot, and quickly rolled on the ground and hid behind a car. Wait, you're your own people. Stop attacking for the moment, Phil Coulson shouted as he crouched behind another car. Wanda heard what Phil Coulson shouted and stopped shooting to see what he had to say. Phil Coulson saw Wanda stop, roar, let out a sigh, stretched his head, and saw that only 2 or 3 agents were injured, and no one. Don't do anything. Don't worry. Her name is Wanda and she's the battle captain of Atlantis. Now they are all fighting against the Annihilation Zerg. They are united. They are their own people, not the enemy. Phil Coulson maintained a friendly smile, shook the dust off his body, put the gun in the holster, and said as he walked towards Wanda, Wanda, since you're your own, why did you attack us so much? Soon as you appeared, did you also harbor 2 criminals? Melinda, believing Phil Coulson, got out from the back of the car and confronted Wanda. I'm sorry, I was too impulsive earlier, so I started off a little louder. I hereby apologize to you. Wanda restrained her strength and expressed her apology. Then, she continued, we will punish them severely for what they have committed, so there is no need for you to intervene. What did we intervene in? Obviously, you suddenly stepped in and stopped our arrest. Even if you belong to Atlantis, your actions are too unreasonable, Melinda said angrily. Phil Coulson gave a wry smile, acted as a peacemaker, and suggested, why don't you just do this? You'll take the mutant and we'll take the other one. Wanda hesitated for a moment, then turned to look at Sky. What she cared about was Lorna. She didn't really care about Sky. With me, no one can take my friends away. Previously, when Wanda attacked, she also accidentally destroyed the instrument, causing the surrounding magnetic field to return to normal. Lorna pulled Sky back, stretched out a hand, shone like an aurora, manipulated the magnetic field, controlled 3 cars, and crashed them into Phil Coulson and the others. She didn't attack Wanda because Wanda saved her life. Be careful. Phil Coulson and Melinda were startled by roar. Looking at the 3 smashed cars, they felt their scalps go numb, and they hurriedly tried to avoid it. The agents who had just gathered scattered again in panic, and then, facing the danger, they instinctively wanted to shoot back. Stop me all. The 3 cars shattered and floated in the air, and the agent who wanted to shoot was also controlled. And it was Wanda who fired. Lorna, wait, don't run, I won't hurt you. Your friends will be fine with me. Wanda controlled the 3 cars to land softly. She noticed Lorna was about to run away and shouted as she flew up to catch up with her. I don't want to hurt you, don't come here. Lorna didn't know Wanda at all and didn't quite believe her words, so she quickly flew away with Sky. She turned around to see that Wanda was about to catch up with her, and controlled some metal objects to block her. Don't go. Stop first and listen to my explanation. With a wave of Wanda's hand, the Crimson Force blocked the flying metal object. Seeing that Lorna didn't listen to her, she wanted to fly away. In desperation, She had to use her strength to stop her. The Crimson Chaos power, which erupted from Wanda, quickly surrounded Lorna and Sky, dragging them to the ground. Meanwhile, Wanda flew closer. You forced me. 35 Lorna doesn't know what purpose Wanda has, so she definitely has to fight hard. She doesn't have enough control over her power, and when she gets excited, she will trigger a skill explosion, which is called out of control. Therefore, when she screamed, the aurora glow erupted from her body, making it even more dazzling, and dozens of cars around her took off, accompanied by the terrified screams of innocent people. The street lights on both sides of the road bent, twisted, and broke. The manhole cover was blown off, the fire hydrant burst, the steel bars on the walls of the surrounding buildings burst, and the windows shattered one by one. This is a sudden change, and it is a disaster for the ordinary people around her. Stop it now. Wanda was startled, hurriedly shouted, and strengthened her strength to block the flying vehicles, steel bars, street lights, and various metal objects. In addition, she also needs to distract herself to take care of the ordinary people who are affected. The 970 vehicles flying towards her also have passengers one by one, and they all need to be distracted and protected. Oh my God! Phil Coulson watched from a distance and slapped his forehead, hoping that Wanda would do more to minimize the casualties of the ordinary people. Damn it, if it weren't for your sudden intervention, we would have caught that mutant a long time ago, and this wouldn't have happened, Melinda said angrily. Lorna, stop, those people will kill you. Sky grabbed Lorna's hand and shouted anxiously, I can't stop. Lorna looked up at the mess she created with her own hands. She felt very guilty. As she screamed in panic, a stronger power erupted from her, and the surrounding magnetic field became even more chaotic. Mutant power control is not enough, and when the power explodes, it will be like water that has opened the door, and it will not stop until all the accumulated water is drained. Okay, the farce should end. At this moment, a calm voice spread throughout the chaotic scene, and even the ordinary people who were about to be stabbed to death by the metal could hear it clearly. Then there was a crisp snap of fingers, time stagnated, and then the flow reversed, and the chaotic scene suddenly returned to its original state, as if nothing had happened. Lorna's power also calmed down, as if it hadn't erupted. Chapter 202 Lorna's Rejection. There is no doubt that this is the power of natural disasters for a time of chaos. Tang Feng reversed the surrounding time and returned everything to its original state. By the way, he reversed the power of Lorna's explosion and returned to the situation before the explosion. Since the force of time was under Tang Feng's careful control, it did not substantially affect the people present, so everyone clearly remembered the disaster that just happened. Now they look around in a daze. If it weren't for the memory of the past, perhaps they really think it is an illusion. At this moment, Tang Feng's figure descended from the sky, showing everyone with an expression of sudden understanding, and their doubts were answered. It's the king of Atlantis, Tang Feng, the son of disaster, who must have rescued us before. It's definitely him, and only he can do such a miraculous thing. Great, kids, we're all fine. It was Tang Feng who rescued us. Thank you very much. I thought I was dead. Tang Feng's appearance. There were so many people on the scene, someone must have recognized him, and one person was shocked by Roar's voice, so everyone knew who came to the rescue. Everyone was grateful. Roar shouted, fortunately, you shot in time, otherwise the consequences would be unimaginable. Wanda flew to Tang Feng's side, breathed a sigh of relief, and said in fear, it's nothing. It's a matter of hands. Tang Feng shrugged, said casually, and walked towards Lorna. It's over. We're dead. I didn't expect Tang Feng to personally come to catch us. Although Sky was happy that the disaster saved Tang Feng, but seeing Tang Feng walking towards them, he felt desperate and said decadently, are you here to catch us too? Lorna also knew that facing Tang Feng could not fight back, gritted her teeth and asked unwillingly, tell me, are you a mutant? Tang Feng stood in front of Lorna, looked directly Lorna Dane. It's time for you to go home. After speaking, he stretched out a hand. What did you say? Lorna opened her eyes subconsciously, thinking it was a hallucination. She heard it wrong, and asked for confirmation. Seeing her disbelief, Tang Feng shook her head speechlessly, withdrew her hand, and then knocked hard on her head, making a crisp sound. I said, "It's time for you to go home. Do you need me to say it again?" Tang Feng raised his hand, made a tapping gesture, and asked menacingly, "It hurts." Lorna covered her head, reacted, and waved her hands quickly. "No, no, I heard it clearly." "Home?" she muttered to herself, very moved by Tang Feng's words. There was an indescribable emotion that made people want to cry, and she managed to hold back. The word home is so far away from her, something she yearns for and can't reach. "I'm sorry, I don't want to go to Atlantis with you." Immediately afterwards, in her heart, a ruthless figure appeared in her mind, making her heart palpitate. She couldn't help but show hatred, took a deep breath, and finally rejected Tang Feng's kind invitation. "Wait, Lorna, you are stupid. Depending on the situation, he doesn't intend to blame you, so you should take this opportunity to return to Atlantis with him. In that way, you don't have to wander around and you don't have to be chased." Sky was puzzled by Lorna's thoughts, and quickly leaned into her ear and coaxed. In this regard, Lorna still shook her head firmly. She knew that that person was also in Atlantis, so she never thought of approaching her. Even if she continued to wander, she would not go. "It seems that you are not ignorant of your own life experience. My words don't work. What if it is your sister's?" Tang Feng noticed Lorna's face and guessed the reason for the rejection, pointing to Wanda. "Elder sister?" Lorna looked at Wanda in astonishment. "Yes, I am also her daughter. My name is Wanda Maximov. It's nice to meet you. In terms of age, I am 21 and you're only 19, so I am a sister and you are a sister." Wanda has been looking at Lorna tenderly, seeing Tang Feng talking about her. She immediately walked out and said with a smile. Sky's eyes widened, looking first at Wanda, then at Lorna, as if she didn't expect it. "I thought they were enemies. I thought they were here to arrest them, but who knew the real purpose was to recognize relatives? It's really a twisted plot." Lorna looked at Wanda and felt nervous. Without the slightest preparation, a sister appeared in front of her, shocked and not knowing how to speak. I know that this incident is too sudden for you, and you may not be able to accept it for a while. This is not a place to talk, so let's find a place to sit and talk. 99 Tang Feng looked at the onlookers not far away, said to Lorna, opened the portal and walked in first. Wanda followed her, and before entering, she turned around and advised, "Come on, I'm your sister and I won't hurt you." If it weren't for me, the king wouldn't be so good at talking. He must have shot on the spot and caught you back. Lorna and Sky looked at each other, knowing that Wanda was telling the truth. Moreover, Lorna now knew that Wanda was her sister and was very tricky. She was no longer in a hurry to escape, so she honestly followed and entered the portal. The people around them saw that Tang Feng and the others had left, and they also dispersed. However, their excitement did not diminish for a long time, and they continued to talk to the people around them. Tang Feng's influence is far greater than that of international stars and national leaders. Many people regard Tang Feng as the true god of Nuojian in the world. Therefore, you can imagine their excitement. For agents like Phil Coulson, it is not excitement, but a helpless sigh. The mission failed. Let's go. The reason for the failure is because Tang Feng intervened. Our heads will not be blamed for this. Phil Coulson shook his head with a wry smile and said. Melinda cursed unwillingly, "Shit," and then led the team away. On the other side of the city, in a tea box, Tang Feng, Wanda, Lorna and Sky were four, each sitting in one direction. Tang Feng was making tea and did not speak. Sky stood in front of Tang Feng, looking into his eyes, as if facing a strict teacher in student days, feeling uncomfortable, uneasy, and unwilling to speak. Wanda looked at Lorna and hesitated, not knowing what to say for a moment. Lorna also would not take the initiative to speak. She was silent and did not know what she was thinking. The atmosphere in the venue fell into an oddly quiet silence. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 203. Be Scared. You, how have you been all these years? The silence at the scene was broken by Wanda first, looking at Lorna. Although she knew what she was asking was idiotic, she couldn't help but ask. No. How can one's wandering life be considered good? 35. It's you instead. I would like to congratulate you. Living with him, loving father and daughter, must be very happy. 35. Lorna laughed at herself. Her face was complicated, with resentment, jealousy, envy and longing. No, you are wrong. Wanda and her brother have been through hard times over the years. Even with Magneto, they have never met. Tang Feng made tea and stepped in. Is that so? Why don't you know him? You are clearly by his side. Also, do you have a younger brother? Lorna asked 3 questions in a row in confusion. Yes, neither Pietro nor I knew him, we just followed him. As for why I didn't recognize him and tell the truth, I still have doubts and hatred. I still feel like I can't forgive him for what he did. Wanda sighed with a wry smile, then chuckled towards Lorna and said, my own 970 brother is called Pietro Maximov, and I'm a twin, just 30 seconds after I was born. So, he's your brother too. If I knew that he has your sister, I would be very happy. You don't know that, because I was born 30 seconds before him. I hated 30 seconds and often said, why wasn't I born 30 seconds earlier? I hate 30 seconds, maybe because this resentment is too deep. It also makes it into the mutant ability of awakening. It is extreme speed. Wanda remembered Pietro's often annoyed look and couldn't help but say PSST and smile. Lorna also found it funny and couldn't help but laugh together. Ha ha ha, I know him. He has a very fast Quicksilver. I didn't expect him to have such a past. Sky listened and said with a laugh. I think Wanda guessed right, because a person's obsession is too deep, so he can awaken to match the ability he wants. 35. Tang Feng made tea, poured himself a cup first, and then poured tea for them himself, jokingly. They laughed, although they thought it was unreasonable. There was no scientific basis. Anyway, it was just what they thought. Taking Pietro's anecdote to tease, the previous silent atmosphere finally disappeared, and everyone's topic was opened. Next, the things Wanda and Lorna talked about were no longer so heavy. Moreover, Sky and Tang Feng intervened from time to time and said some funny words, but the atmosphere has not cooled down. While Tang Feng was brewing 5 pots of tea, Wanda and Lorna had almost chatted and had a general understanding of each other. Because of the same experience, they appreciate each other, and the connection between their bloodlines also makes them recognize the relationship of sisters. Sister, are you planning to meet him? Lorna was not used to her sister's name, Raur, so she hesitated to call out. She asked with concern. It's definitely about recognizing each other, not only brothers and sisters Wanda, but you also have to recognize him. Tang Feng snapped his fingers and said loudly, why? He can mercilessly abandon his wife and children for his own ideals. Why should we recognize such a ruthless father? How can you forgive him? Lorna asked angrily. Sky was frightened and gestured at him with her gaze. Don't be so impulsive. The person she yelled at was angry at the king of Atlantis, the sons of disaster with invincible power. Tang Feng, really bold. Don't die. Sky looked at Tang Feng cautiously, worried that he would get angry on the spot. Tang Feng definitely didn't get angry. He wouldn't be so stingy. He slowly took a sip of tea, and said in a low voice, do you know that the Zerg annihilation is about to come? Lorna looked stunned and nodded silently. Now that you know, do you know that the people who will fight against the Zerg annihilation are not only the mutant army I led, but also the Avengers and the armies of various countries? And all nuclear weapons are already ready to go, ready to be launched at any time. There is no doubt that this is a war that will determine the survival of mankind. In the face of this kind of crisis, even I am not very confident of surviving. Magneto is weaker than me. Even a 4th-level mutant is old and frail. What do you think is the chance of him surviving? Tang Feng's face was very serious, as terrifying as what he said. He was lying without blinking anyway. The scene fell silent, and everyone was shocked by Tang Feng's words. Sky's face was pale, and she said with a gloomy face, "Is the Zerg's annihilation really that terrible? Do humans not have the confidence to win together?" 55 Humphrey, what do you think? The Zerg's annihilation is just a small team. There are 100 million in number, plus the Cosmic Fleet. Have you seen the movie of the Cosmic War? The Cosmic Fleet over there is not terrible. One shot can tear the planet apart. Moreover, the Annihilation Zerg have wormhole technology that can connect to old nests countless light years away, and the power source is constantly increasing their troops. 39 If we can't destroy the wormhole in time, prepare to perish. Tang Feng's face was serious and terrifying. He put the dried teacup back on the tea table and made a light clicking sound, as if hitting the hearts of the three girls. "I scared you to death, son of a bitch. I'm a little scared to talk about it," he muttered in his heart. For a long time, he thought he could deal with the Annihilation Zerg with certainty, but now that he thinks about it carefully, he is still a little optimistic. "King, we humans will win, right?" After a while, the three girls were frightened, but Wanda was the first to come back to her senses. She asked nervously, as if someone who fell into the water was trying to grab a straw. Lorna and Sky looked nervously at Tang Feng at the same time. In their opinion, Tang Feng was already the strongest human being, and what he said was very credible. "With me, we can win." Without any hesitation, Tang Feng said this sentence firmly, without waiting for the three women to breathe a sigh of relief, and then continued, "But I can't guarantee how many people will die in the course of the war." 35 Including Magneto, including you. The last sentence made them very uneasy, clenching their fists tightly, facing the possible future of death. No one can calm down. So, as long as the Annihilation Zerg hasn't arrived yet, as long as everyone is still alive and enjoying life, we must quickly make up for the regrets one by one, in case we are not willing to die. You don't have to think about anything anymore. I will make the decision for you, and I will confess to Magneto tonight. No one can refuse. Tang Feng slapped the table on the spot and decided the matter with a tough attitude. "Magneto, how are you going to repay me for making me work so hard with your housework? Otherwise, give me 2 daughters." Chapter 204 is located. Because of Tang Feng's harsh decision, coupled with the crisis of annihilating the Zerg, he might die by participating in the war, and he didn't want to leave any regrets before he died, so Lorna and Wanda agreed to confess to their relatives halfway. That's it. When Tang Feng took them back to Atlantis, the Magneto family would recognize their relatives. Regarding the matter of recognizing relatives, Tang Feng, an outsider, was not very good at watching the fun, so he left early and walked back to the wooden house slowly, followed by the restless Sky behind him. At this time, Linger and the other daughters were busy and were not at home, so he opened the door and walked in and said, "Come in." Sky curiously looked at the decorations in the wooden house and felt that it was pretty good, neither luxurious nor simple, with the harmony of nature in the ordinary, with a relaxed and comfortable feeling that those mansions did not have. Then, seeing Tang Feng sitting on the rattan chair, swaying lightly leisurely, he originally had a distinctive temperament, truly like an expert living in seclusion in the mountains. "Sky, a member of the Rising Organization Tide, because of your self-assertion, news of the arrival of the Oblivion Zerg spread throughout the world overnight, disrupting our plan of action. 99 Because of this, the panic and chaos caused by ordinary people has not been dealt with in time, and many people have died. In Atlantis alone, nearly 1,000 people died, and on a global scale, the death toll is even higher. Roughly, it is estimated that there are hundreds of thousands of people. Moreover, the current chaos, except for Atlantis, the rest of the country has not been completely suppressed, and the death toll continues to increase every day. Your High Tide organization has committed such a huge crime, which has already endangered the safety of all mankind, and it is even more terrifying than what international terrorists have done. According to the laws of various countries, once you're caught, you can be shot on the spot. Tang Feng said threatening words and raised his right hand, making a shooting gesture. "Really? Are you really going to shoot me?" "No, I don't want to die yet. I joined the rising organization Tide just to find my relatives. The reason I spread the news about the annihilation of the Zerg was just to reveal the truth, and I didn't expect the consequences. Sky's face was pale and frightened. No matter how powerful her hacking skills were, the experience of living alone since she was a child made her so strong. It is impossible to face death in peace. Her eyes were blank. Her legs were soft at the sides. She slumped on the ground, and muttered in a choked voice, "Evil is wrong. No matter what your reasons are, the sins committed cannot be easily forgiven. But, since you're still young and ignorant, I can give you a chance to make up for it." 99 Tang Feng touched his nose in embarrassment. He didn't expect Sky to be so bullied. Seeing that she had lost her mind, he was embarrassed to bully her again and continued, "Will you make up for it? Don't I have to be shot?" Sky's unholy eyes revived, and she hurriedly asked, "Yes, I have something to do, and this is your chance to make up for it. As long as you do well and make a contribution, I will make up for your sins for you." Tang Feng waved his hand and said grandly, "Thank you, I will definitely do well." Sky gratefully thanked him and stood up from the ground, her legs still shaking. Tang Feng looked at her with an amused look and deliberately said, "I gave you a chance to live. How are you going to repay me? Is it enough to just say thank you?" 55 According to the plot of the movie, shouldn't it be a promise? Sky's face froze for a moment, then blushed, grabbing the corner of her clothes with her small hands, squeezing, and said in a mosquito-like voice, "If you don't look down on me, it's fine." In fact, Sky's age was the period when the girl was pregnant. As a master hacker, she knew the most about Tang Feng. From her point of view, Tang Feng is like an eagle flying high in the sky, while she is just a humble grass growing on the ground, and their identities are very different. Therefore, she is Cinderella and Tang Feng is the unattainable Prince Charming. Now that Prince Charming unexpectedly asks her to repay him with a promise, will she, Cinderella, refuse? Definitely not anymore. There are countless girls who want to be Tang Feng's women, and they all want to go crazy, and there is no chance at all. 0. Flowers. And she is also a girl who loves fantasy. Now that she has the opportunity, she definitely doesn't want to miss it. Tang Feng was stunned. Although Sky spoke very softly, he could still hear it with his ear. Unexpectedly, a joke was actually taken seriously, and surprisingly, he agreed. Hey, you're a girl, so be reserved." He admits that he still underestimates his own charm, and that foreign beauties are very bold and enthusiastic, so they will not refuse duplicity. He complained and thought in his heart, looking up and down Sky with strange eyes, short sleeves, long jeans, a good figure to set off, plus the mixed-race Chinese and American appearance. She was born a beautiful woman. 0 Coupled with the blood of the Inhumans, as long as the awakening skill is vibration, the potential is also great. Thinking about it this way, it seems that he is also qualified to make her look at him differently. Cough, cough, cough. Tang Feng reacted. Why did he think of this kind of thing? He hadn't thought of accepting Sky before, so his train of thought drifted and he coughed a few times to cover up his embarrassment. However, his cough made Sky misunderstand, thinking it was a hint from Tang Feng, and asked her to take the initiative to start her performance. I saw her face tangled for a moment, and she quickly took action. Looking at the open door, she hurriedly closed the door. Then she looked at the open wooden windows, walked hesitantly, and closed several wooden windows. As a result, the light in the room dimmed a little, and Sky's face flushed even more. She was inexperienced, and when she thought about what would happen next, she was very restless, completely unable to calm down. Shit, things are going badly. Tang Feng stared at Sky closing the door and window, but couldn't calm down. He had a guess in his heart about what was going on. What happened next? He gulped and swore to God that this situation was definitely not what he wanted. Who would have thought that Sky would take it seriously and push him back? The situation became serious. She started to act, a little panicked. Is he a righteous gentleman or a hypocrite? Chapter 205 is embarrassing. In the bathroom of the wooden house, the water was pouring down. Tang Feng raised his face and let the water wash his body. After a while, he walked out wrapped in a towel, and passing by his room, He opened the door and looked inside. Tang Feng walked in, pulled the quilt a little tighter, smiled faintly at the corner of his mouth, looked at her sleeping appearance, and sighed helplessly, a little worried. How to explain it to Linger and the others? "You'll be fine, just sleep peacefully, I'll worry about it, that's how it is." Hearing Tang Feng's sophistry, Linger rolled her eyes, and Flicker was taken aback. Qin's attitude was to nod indifferently, did not express any opinion on the matter, only said, "It's best not to accept too many women. I'm afraid you will have too many women in the future, and you won't have much time to accompany me at night. 99 If you let me stay alone with the empty room, don't blame me for taking Linger and the others away." Tang Feng's mouth was open and speechless. The words that persuaded him not to be so romantic with women were too unusual, making him stunned for a while. He didn't expect that Qin would be such a person, thinking of grabbing a woman with him. Tang Feng complained in his heart and let go of his heart. It seemed that Linger and the others had no opinion on Sky and easily accepted the fact that it had happened. After all, Tang Feng is also different from ordinary people. Not only is he a strong man, but he also has great charm, and he is also a king. According to the national system of Atlantis, he is partial to the imperial system, and in the law, there is no monogamy and polygamy is allowed. In this law, which is beneficial to men, there is definitely Tang Feng's influence and participation. Everyone understood in their hearts, but they were tacit and did not expose Tang Feng's intentions. After all, Atlantis had to be protected by Tang Feng before it could be successfully established, so a law that could marry multiple wives was nothing. That's right. In a country that leans towards the imperial system, it is legal to have multiple wives. Moreover, Tang Feng is the king, which naturally has an advantage. Even if there are more women, it is reasonable. If Tang Feng only had 1 or 2 women, it would be somewhat strange. In this way, when Tang Feng will have 3 palaces, 6 courtyards, and 72 concubines, it does not seem surprising in Atlantis, an imperial country. The number of 72 concubines in the 3 palaces and 6 courtyards is definitely too many, and Linger and the others will definitely not accept it. This is a very realistic thing, and only by comparison can there be trade-offs. Compared to the 72 concubines in the 3 palaces and 6 courtyards, there is only 1 more Sky. Even if there are a few more women, they will also express that they are petty. Moreover, it is now time to prepare for battle, and they are not in the mood to cause trouble with Tang Feng, but just cursed a few words in their hearts. The main idea is, the old lady is working hard here, but do you have time to pick up girls? Too much trademark makes people angry. Therefore, the 3 unhappy girls are going to squeeze Tang Feng hard tonight. Just kidding, my body is not a mortal body. You can't exhaust me if you are exhausted. 99 I woke up the next day, at noon in the morning. Tang Feng triumphantly stood up from the woman's nest, opened the door and stretched out in the warm sun. Turn left, turn right, let's do sports together. Tang Feng sang songs, twisted his body, looked at the sun, stood by the lake and did morning exercises. It seems that the king is in a good mood. Sister, don't worry, the king and his people are very good. Even if Sky commits a big crime, he will not punish her cruelly. I have already found out that the captured members of the Rising Sun organization are very good. Tide have nothing to do, but are just imprisoned together, using their computer technology to help do things and contribute to the victory of the war. Wanda and Lorna walked over hand in hand, as close as sisters, and from a distance they could see Tang Feng twisting and turning. Wanda smiled and said comfortingly, in the face of the Zerg Annihilation War, everyone must do their part. Even if Sky is imprisoned to do things, and her freedom is restricted, it is nothing, as long as she is okay. I just don't feel at ease because I haven't seen her. 99 Lorna nodded and said softly, last night, because of the relationship with Magneto, I also knew that Sky had taken Tang Feng away, so I temporarily ignored it. She, Wanda, Pietro, and Magneto didn't have time to see Sky until today, after their first meeting breakfast. Since Lorna was not familiar with Tang Feng, she asked Wanda to accompany him. See the king X2. Excuse me, the king, do you know where Sky is? Is she okay? When they came to Tang Feng, the 2 women paid their respects first, and Lorna asked with concern. Tang Feng twisted his body and stood still, as if his waist was broken, his face was stiff, and he laughed a few times, not knowing how to answer. Well, she is fine now, you don't have to worry. He couldn't help but look at the wooden house. Zhuo Yan said thoughtfully. Well then, where is she now? Lorna was relieved to hear Tang Feng's words, and then asked, This. Tang Feng groaned, and it was a little difficult to speak. Could it be that she ate her good friend from 4.7? No, it should be said that I was pushed back by your good friend. No matter how you say it, you don't seem to be able to speak well. Just as Tang Feng was embarrassed, Sky woke up, leaned against the door frame, and said coquettishly, Come here quickly and take me to take a bath. 99. Tang Feng was embarrassed and touched his nose. Wanda was stunned on the spot, opened her mouth slightly, and covered her hand with one hand. Lorna blinked in confusion at first, and then guessed the reason. She was so shocked that she shook her head again and again, as if the truth was too exaggerated. The atmosphere at the scene suddenly became quiet. Chapter 206. Did you write the wrong script? Good brother. When Lorna and Wanda left with a strange look, the love words that Sky shouted when she was flirtatious still echoed in their minds. Absolutely true, there is only one truth, and only when you are used to shouting, Sky will let go and shout, Good brother, everyone knows it. So, last night was. Hiss. Wanda felt an inexplicable melancholy in her heart, envious and jealous of Sky, and had a depressing feeling of her beloved toy being taken away. She was confused. Tang Feng and Sky had only known each other for a long time, so how could they be together? Lorna is also very puzzled. As a good friend, although she knows that Sky admires Tang Feng, however, as a favorite star, it is actually not surprising. She has always thought that Sky is a very reserved girl, who cherishes herself very much, does not waste time, and is a good girl. Who would have thought that after taking it away from Tang Feng, something beyond her imagination happened, and she directly became Tang Feng's woman. Too fast. Not even a rocket is so fast. In fact, Tang Feng felt that the matter between him and Sky happened very quickly, and it was a little unreal. Oh 9. It should be that he hasn't adapted to this fast-paced life. If it's Tony, a playboy, he should be too slow. Hee. Why don't you cover your face and dare not see people? When you called good brother just now, weren't you very bold? Tang Feng walked in front of Sky, looked at her covering her face with her hands embarrassedly, her ears were all red, and continued to joke. You are in front of your good friend, shouting loudly, Good brother, come quickly, come quickly. He raised his voice, following Sky's words. Stop talking, I'm ashamed dead man, it's all your fault. Sky pulled her hand away in embarrassment and shouted at Tang Feng frantically. Okay, it's all my fault. As an apology, I'll take a bath now. Let's go. Tang Feng picked up Sky, walked in, hooked his foot back, and closed the door on the way. What? Sky faintly heard the startled drawer. One day is too short. Even if Tang Feng is busy fooling around with women, he still needs to take time out to deal with business matters. The evening was dusk. The sunset was beautiful, and the smoke from the kitchen began to slowly rise into the sky. The hard training of the 130,000 soldiers had also completed a half-day exercise program. Take a rest and continue training. Tang Feng looked out the window for a while, and when he heard a knock on the door, he retracted his gaze, sat on the edge of the desk, and said, Come in. It was Magneto who opened the door and walked in. I saw that she kept a happy smile the whole time, and even walking felt a lot lighter. The first sentence she said was thank you. I really want to thank the king for what happened yesterday. If it weren't for your help, maybe I wouldn't have met Wanda yet, and I wouldn't have known that there was a daughter living abroad, Magneto said, with a guilty look on his face. Wanda and Pietro were fine, he always knew, but for various reasons, he pretended not to know. Lorna is different. He and Lorna's mother only had a romantic past. After mercilessly leaving her, he didn't know that she was pregnant. Lorna's mother is also stubborn. After silently giving birth to Lorna, she never thought of contacting him and telling him. Only on a lonely night, holding Lorna, looking at a candid photo of her back, crying silently, He died early due to depression and told Lorna about his life just before he died. Lorna because of her mother's death, awakening ability, because he hated Magneto's cruelty, would rather wander and live alone, and never thought to acknowledge him. If it weren't for the fact that he met Sky and became a good friend, it turned out that Sky had just joined the Rising organization, Tide, and did a great job, which attracted Tang Feng's attention. Then, in order to protect Sky, Lorna unintentionally got involved, so she reported to the White Queen, and after some investigation, found a romantic debt with Magneto. No need to thank you. You and I don't need to be too polite. The war is coming for them. You don't want to die. Tang Feng stood up, walked around the desk, lightly patted Magneto on the shoulder, and said solemnly, although I am old, I am still a level 4 mutant and am protected by a steel battle suit, so I won't kill those bugs easily. Magneto's face frowns, and he said firmly, well said, I will wait to have a drink with you after the war. It's getting late. They should be waiting for you to eat. I won't waste your time. Tang Feng looked at the sky outside the window and hurriedly walked away. I may be late for dinner. They will wait for me. Before that, you should give me these documents to deal with. Magneto quickly walked over and stopped Tang Feng, humming, and threw the document in his hand onto the table. The sneaky plan failed. Tang Feng turned around helplessly, sat back, and took the time to get rid of the documents. Oh, King, how can I say that you are? After all, you are the king of a country and you should decide the size of the country's archives. 55 Even if you don't want to be busy all day, you still have to spend half of your time dealing with national affairs. Although Charles and I can help you with business matters, but… Magneto looked at Tang Feng's depressed look as he approved the documents and sighed, coaxing him incessantly. The dignified Magneto forced Tang Feng into a long-tongued woman, making people speechless. Tang Feng was also speechless, and the noise in his ear was so loud that no matter how Magneto coaxed him, it would enter the left ear and come out the right ear, like noise. His good time will not be wasted on any national affairs. Ming Jun, Liang Jun, I don't want to do it, and Wan Jun is my pursuit. Tang Feng retorted in his heart while doing things. In retaliation to Magneto's disturbing muttering, he deliberately said, from tomorrow, your 2 daughters will follow me. Magneto's face was stunned for a moment. To his surprise, Magneto only pondered for a while, then nodded, showing no reluctance. Tang Feng's face frowns. The script is wrong. Hey, are you really so cruel? Are you going to push the 2 daughters you just met into the fire pit with your own hands? Chapter 207 Tang Feng's hellish training. Sister, do you think his words this morning are a little strange? Lorna and Wanda asked suspiciously when they came out. He is Magneto. Although father and daughter recognized each other, the grievances of all these years could not be eliminated in a short time. For a short while, Lorna was unable to say the word father. It seems a little strange. Wanda nodded, frowning as she thought. While eating breakfast, Magneto looked at them kindly while eating and said, when you meet the king, don't be too restrained, just ask for what you want. Definitely don't play with any temper. Whatever he says, you can do it. 35 As your father, I will not harm you. This is a rare opportunity. You must seize it. After the 2 women finished their recollections, they looked at each other strangely and said embarrassedly, they always felt as if they wanted to meet on a blind date. However, they just want to receive Tang Feng's training. Last night, Tang Feng was talking about this, thinking about training Wanda, thinking that Lorna's potential is also very good, so he also called her. Because he wanted to retaliate for Magneto's constant nagging, he deliberately said it vaguely. Who knew? Magneto unexpectedly agreed, which made him stunned for a while, and it was difficult to follow. No way. He finished processing the documents, and then hurriedly said that he would personally train the 2 girls, and then hurriedly left. His back was quite embarrassed. Although he explained the words clearly, Magneto already had the idea of marrying a daughter. As for what he wanted to come, Tang Feng was so good, except for more women. He was indeed a good candidate for a son-in-law. As for the problem of having too many women, just as he thought, Tang Feng, as a king, was so powerful that it was a matter of course to have more women. Originally, Magneto was not an honest man who was loyal to love and obeyed monogamy. He also had a lot of romantic debts, otherwise there would be no Wanda and Lorna. Therefore, he does not dislike Tang Feng's many women, as long as he can be nice to his two daughters. He believed that he knew Tang Feng very well and knew that Tang Feng was very good to his women. In this way, his idea of marrying a daughter is very firm. Tang Feng did not yet know that Magneto was determined to be his father-in-law, and thought that the misunderstanding would be resolved after he made it clear. In order to train the two girls, he also got up early in the morning, with his hands behind his back, and as soon as he walked to the place where they agreed to meet, he saw that the two girls were already waiting there. "Come on, then come with me." Tang Feng nodded to the two women without being careless. Carrying his sling ring with his right hand, he made a virtual circle in the air, opened the portal, and entered first. The two women quickly followed. "It's sunny and hot. This is the desert." 35 As soon as the two women walked out of the portal, they felt a strong surge of heat. The sun above was also dazzling, and the sand under their feet was steaming with heat, and the heat could be felt through the soles of their shoes, as if they were standing on an extinguished fire. "That's right, the place where I want to train you is the desert. In a harsh environment, coupled with the toughest training, can you unleash your potential in a short period of time? Next, my training is not only very harsh, but also very dangerous. I'll give you a chance to quit now. Do you want to quit? Think about it. Don't be hasty in answering. It's really dangerous. You'll die if you are not careful, and the chance to quit is only this time. Once you choose not to quit, even if you want to stop training, I won't agree, because my time is precious and I won't let you waste it at will." Tang Feng held on Yu Hung in both hands and said with a serious face. Wanda and Lorna looked at each other, looked at the surrounding desert environment, pondered for a while, their eyes fixed, showing a resolute expression, and said together, "I have made a decision and will not give up." The annihilation of the Zerg is approaching, and the war between humans and Zerg is destined to be very tragic and dangerous. Before that, they were fortunate to be trained by Tang Feng, and they were able to turn their potential into strength. This kind of good thing, they didn't choose to give it up unless they were stupid. "Okay, I hope you won't regret it later." Then, from now on, the training begins. The corners of Tang Feng's mouth twitched as he spoke indifferently, his feet leaving the desert and flying straight into the sky. The two women looked at Tang Feng, who was flying into the sky. They covered the sun with their hands and squinted their eyes. As they became curious as to how the training began, they noticed a small black spot appear above Tang Feng's back. Their faces were startled, and after waiting for a while, the small black dot came closer, and it was only slowly that they could tell that the small black dot was a meteorite. "This is just a small meteorite, you can resist it together, you should be able to stop it." "Well, if you can't stop it, then you can only express regret." Tang Feng's voice fell from a distance, and the next second, the meteorite flew past him and fell straight into the two women's location. "Sister, don't be in a daze, let's do it together." Wanda was the first to recover from her stupor and had no time to think about it. She hurriedly said a word, raised her hands high, and the power of the Crimson Chaos rushed out, forming a barrier and protecting him. "Oh, I see." Lorna came back to her senses and quickly responded, not daring to be careless. She gritted her teeth and burst out with all her strength, ignoring the problem that the skill was out of control. She felt that there was metal in the meteorite and had to try to control the metal to prevent it from falling. However, she underestimated the power of the meteorite and overestimated her current strength. The impact force transmitted by the meteorite made her snort and spit out a mouthful of blood. "Sister, are you okay?" Wanda was worried about the questioning and had no time to look back. The meteorite was controlled by Lorna's magnetic force. Although the falling speed slowed down, it still hit the Crimson Barrier. Wanda only felt that her body was hit by a car. She screamed, spat out a mouthful of blood, and knelt on the ground. However, her hands, Nuozozo, have stood in a high position, constantly blessing the power, causing the Crimson Barrier to constantly break and reform. Lorna also insisted, controlling the metal and the meteorite and sharing part of the impact for Wanda. Under the resistance of the two women, The falling speed of the meteorite became slower and slower. From the beginning, it smashed the crimson barrier into pieces, and when it reached a dozen meters in the sky, it could no longer be crushed. A basketball-sized meteorite, the surface was charred, with fire and smoke, floating in front of the crimson barrier, completely losing its impact. Lorna let out a last scream, lowered her hand, clenched her fists, and the metal inside the meteorite burst, smashing the meteorite into rubble. Seeing this, Wanda finally regained her strength. Then, her eyes turned black, and she lay down in the scorching desert. She only had the strength to breathe and almost fainted. Lorna wasn't much better, as she lay down at the same time. Chapter 208 Fly to the Oasis. Fly. Everyone stand up. There's an oasis not far away. If you don't want to stay here and wait to die, just walk over while you still have strength. Tang Feng fell from the sky, without any intention of helping them up. He hardened his heart and said harshly, he had said from the beginning that this was a terrible training. He couldn't have mercy on Xiangsu. In order to stimulate the two sisters' potential, he had to be merciless. But, I no longer have the strength to stand up and I'm also injured. My sister and I have successfully blocked the meteorite. Is this training not over yet? Lorna raised her head with difficulty. The pretty sand-stained face was no longer white and there was still blood. She pleaded. And, joke, today's training has just begun. I won't say any more. If you don't want to leave, I won't force you. However, if you continue to lie down, you will be swallowed by quicksand before you die from sunburn or thirst. Tang Feng said softly, and pointed at the surrounding sand. There was obviously a flow, and it gradually spread towards them. Disaster? Desert quicksand? Impossible. How can the quicksand phenomenon appear for no reason? Lorna whispered in disbelief. Don't ask any more. If you guessed correctly, it must be the king who did it. Let's go to the oasis quickly, or it will really be swallowed by the quicksand. You don't want to be lucky. The king will do as he says. He won't help. We can only find a way to save ourselves. Wanda stood up with difficulty, and as she spoke, she helped Lorna to her feet. It's still Wanda who understands me. Yes, even if you are swallowed by the quicksand and suffocate to death, I won't help you. Wanda may also have thought, I won't let you really die, and I will use the power of time to save you in the end. Unless you really want to experience death, then you can just stay here in peace, without struggling to survive, and let the quicksand engulf you. Tang Feng floated into the air again and said coldly, damn it, even if I know that I won't really die, I don't want to die even once. Lorna cursed unhappily. Although she was surprised that Tang Feng could bring people back to life, she definitely didn't want to experience death. Sister, the king is too cruel. This kind of training simply forces people to die. Thank you. I always thought he was very talkative, but I didn't expect his heart to be so poisonous. With the scorching sun on his head, his feet stepping on the sand that exudes a lot of heat, dragging his heavy steps, added to his injured body, and a large amount of energy that was consumed by fighting the meteorites, Lorna's state is very poor. He will fall into a coma at any moment. Her eyes were blurred, but with the perseverance that she didn't want to die, she walked mechanically, her dry mouth opened and closed slightly, and she spoke ill of Tang Feng. He did this mercilessly to train us, so don't blame him. This is not his intention. If it weren't for us, with other people, the king wouldn't have so much time to train himself. Wanda's condition is also very bad, she said with a wry smile. Really, sister, we are all so miserable, and you still speak for him, Lorna said softly, faintly dissatisfied. This is also our choice. 35 From the moment I decided to train, I have been prepared. Wanda also spoke softly. As she walked, her raised feet suddenly lost strength, and she tilted and fell into the sand. Because they helped each other, Lorna was also involved, and they fell together. Sister, are you okay? Lorna endured the heat of the sand and asked with concern. No, it's okay, Wanda said, standing up forcefully with Lorna and continuing to walk. Although Wanda is stronger than Lorna, she also bore the brunt of the impact when resisting the meteorite, and the injuries and strength consumed will only be greater. Sister, it's not good. The quicksand is about to reach them. The two women were walking. Lorna felt that the sand, A jet was showing signs of moving. She quickly looked back and said in a panic. Wanda was startled, looked back, and quickly said, "Quickly, let's speed up. If we get entangled in quicksand, with our current state, we won't be able to break free at all." After speaking, everyone gritted their teeth and tried their best to speed up. The quicksand was like a wild beast chasing after him, opening its mouth to swallow the two women. I'm going to die," gritting her teeth and walking for a while. Lorna said painfully, "I really want to give up. My feet are extremely heavy, my mouth is dry and my tongue is on fire, my head is dizzy, and the camera is still on fire." Yu Hung seems to be about to explode. She had never been in this situation before, and if it weren't for the fear of death, if it weren't for Wanda, she might have given up. "Wait a moment, you'll see, the oasis is just ahead." Wanda pointed forward and said excitedly. Lorna's exhausted spirit reluctantly cheered up and looked ahead, and saw an oasis. Great! Lorna was so excited that she was about to cry, and she no longer thought of giving up, and insisted on walking on. However, the quicksand spread a little faster than the two girls, and finally reached their feet and let them slowly sink. "It's over. We still can't reach the oasis in the end." Lorna's face turned pale, desperate. "If we can do it, we still have the strength. Sister, you have to believe in your own strength. We will definitely succeed." Wanda turned to look at Lorna and said with firm conviction. Then, she squeezed out the remaining power in her body, and with a scream, the crimson power of chaos rolled down their bodies, broke away from the quicksand, rushed into the sky, and flew towards the oasis. Only halfway through, Wanda's power was exhausted. "Sister, it's up to you. I believe you can do it." 35 Wanda hugged Lorna, leaned her ear to her ear, and fell into a coma after speaking weakly. In this way, without the power of chaos, the two women who flew with them began to fall down. Lorna squeezed her eyes shut, tears streaming down her face, and with Wanda's words echoing in her head, she murmured, "I won't let you down. I can do this." Fly for me," Lorna screamed, desperately mobilizing the magnetic field, and finally succeeded when she fell 2/3 of the way up. The magnetic field began to be controlled by her, and they continued to fly towards the oasis with them. "It's really touching." Tang Feng touched his forehead with one hand and muttered to himself. The two sisters were working so hard that he could no longer relax. He must practice them to death. Chapter 209 Simple Lorna. Tang Feng's hell training continues. The two girls are trained to be immortal and want to die, and they are on the verge of death every day. Because of this, the potential of the two women is constantly stimulated, converted into strength, and becomes stronger bit by bit, and their will is becoming stronger and stronger. In the desert, the raging tornado sandstorm finally stopped. After a while, the two sisters, covered in sand, crawled out of the sand with difficulty. "I really thought I was going to die." Sister, is it over?" Lorna was still panting and breathing. She asked between sobs. "I don't know either." Wanda shook her head, sighed in her heart. This hell training continued. She really couldn't hold on any longer. Every time she had the thought of giving up, dying once. However, even if they really don't die, the experience of dying once is terrifying. As long as they can persevere, they won't give up and have to endure. "No, it's starting again. This time it's a meteorite again. Let's get up." Suddenly, Wanda inadvertently saw the black dot falling from the sky and immediately reacted, hurriedly reminded her and struggled to stand up. Lorna also quickly stood up, took a deep breath and gathered her strength. The black dot in the sky fell even closer and could be seen burning into a fireball. This was a small meteorite, about the same size as the meteorite on the first day of training. After 12 days of training, the two girls have become stronger in a hellish training session. "Even if the current state is not good, I have the confidence to work together to block the meteorite," they shouted, and Wanda waved both hands, using the power of the crimson chaos. Lorna's hands glowed with the color of the aurora and she calculated the distance in her heart. When the meteorite was about to crash into the crimson barrier, she called on the magnetic field to control the metal inside the meteorite. Undoubtedly, their cooperation has been very tacit. They used their strength to resist the meteorite almost at the same time, and each of them took half of the force of the impact. If they were not in bad condition, they would easily block the meteorite. In the end, they also successfully blocked the meteorite, but they vomited blood again, collapsed on the sand, and only had to breathe. Even so, their training in hell is not over yet, and there will be quicksand to chase them. I finally managed to escape. The sun in the sky is even hotter, as if the distance is getting closer. The temperature is close to 100 degrees. The entire illuminated desert becomes blurred, emitting hot steam, like a layer of flames on the sand. Burning. Faced with this situation, the two women could only desperately squeeze their strength. Wanda was in charge of holding the protective cover, and Lorna was in charge of flying. They had to find the oasis quickly to have a chance of survival. The desert night had arrived. The temperature had dropped, and it was getting colder and colder. In a certain oasis, located on the edge of a small lake, a ray of fire was burning, dispelling the darkness for several meters around. Tang Feng was sitting in front of the fire, roasting a hare, the firewood making crackling sounds from time to time. Beside him were two sisters who fell into a coma. After a day of training in hell, they couldn't hold on any longer and fainted together. Tang Feng couldn't let them die in a coma, so he rescued them. Under the light of the fire, I saw that their bodies were no longer dirty and embarrassed, and their pretty faces had returned to white, as if they had been washed again. The two women murmured softly and woke up almost at the same time. Their eyes were blank and they didn't know what was going on. Their noses moved and an alluring fragrance came out, and a hungry sound came from their stomachs. They saw the fire and the hare that was being roasted. They couldn't help but gulp, and then they noticed Tang Feng. "How are we here? It's the king. You saved us?" Wanda completely woke up from the state of confusion and asked, "It's definitely not me who saved you. Who else will save you? Everyone is hungry. Just be patient. You'll be fine soon," Tang Feng said as he added seasoning to the hare. Sister, look, we've become very clean." 99 At this moment, Lorna noticed that something was wrong with her body, and quickly knew what was going on. She covered her body tightly with her hands, screamed, and looked at Tang Feng as if she was looking at a bad guy. "Asking for flowers, king, did you help us wash it?" After Lorna's reminder, Wanda also learned about her own situation. "Yes, it's me." Tang Feng deliberately paused, and when he saw the embarrassed expressions on the two women's faces, he continued, "Tell Sky to come and help you." Washington. The truth was reversed, and the two women were startled. "Sky really washed us?" "She was in Wakanda, and we were in the desert, so far away," Lorna said doubtfully. "What about the distance?" "I can get anywhere with a portal. Where do you think my hair came from?" Tang Feng shrugged and said angrily. Lorna blinked. Yes, she forgot about the convenience of the portal. In this way, they also believed Tang Feng's words. They were no longer embarrassed, they were relieved, and Sky didn't mind showing their bodies. They were all women anyway. "Okay, let's eat." The hare was finally baked, and Tang Feng tore off 2 rabbit legs, one for each person. "Thank you, X2." While thanking the two women, they couldn't wait to eat. "What do you think? Isn't it delicious?" Tang Feng tore off a front leg, ate happily, and asked proudly, "Okay, the roast is a bit too cooked. It tastes burnt, the seasonings are not evenly distributed, the portions are not matched, and the taste can only be reluctant to bite." Lorna ate and said bluntly. Tang Feng's face froze. Too disrespectful. Wanda PSST spoke for Tang Feng and said, "The roast isn't that bad. The king should be roasting a hare for the first time. It's amazing to be able to roast it like this." "Yes, it's my first time roasting a hare." Tang Feng touched his nose subconsciously, but didn't say that when he was training them before, he had secretly roasted them many times out of interest. "This time, I rescued them and helped them roast hares to show off." As a result, it turned out that I had always felt good about myself, but in fact, the roasted hare didn't taste good at all. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel. Mundo fanfic novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 210. The Fantastic Four will be born early. The sunrise in the desert is beautiful, but unfortunately no one appreciates it. In a peaceful atmosphere, a scream pierced the sky and disturbed the tranquility. At the edge of the burning fire, Tang Feng frowned and covered his ears and said, "Stop shouting, you will be noisy with dead man early in the morning." Nine King, you are so hateful, you are taking advantage of others. Lorna hurriedly arranged her clothes with her hands, pointed at Tang Feng and said angrily. Wanda was also looking at Tang Feng embarrassedly. Her hand still had that tactile sensation, which was inadvertently caught in the confusion of sleep. "It's the evil people who complained first. It was obviously because you felt cold when you fell asleep last night, so you squeezed in next to me to sleep. Look, where I sleep now. Is it yours or mine?" Tang Feng spread his hands and said innocently. The faces of the two women were 977 for a while, and after a closer look, they remembered that it seemed that it was right. The place where they slept should not be Tang Feng's place. So after all, they took the initiative to pass by? They smiled embarrassedly, and Lorna hurriedly said, "I'll wash my face first." Wanda also nodded and washed her face with Lorna. When the two women turned around and walked to the lake, they didn't see Tang Feng's thief-like smile. What is the truth of the facts? There is no need to chase her to the end, and the hellish training continues. In the process of training the two girls, Tang Feng will also take time to return to Wakanda from time to time to deal with some things. According to the date predicted by Ancient One, there are less than 10 days left until the arrival of the Annihilation Zerg. Countdown. Day 8. Is the ship ready? Tang Feng took some time to return to Wakanda, and as soon as he entered the monitoring room, he asked, "Ready to take off at any time?" Tony checked the instrument and found that there was nothing wrong. He nodded, looked at Tang Feng, and asked suspiciously, "Do you really want the four of you to go together? Is that really happening?" Tang Feng stood in front of the surveillance video, smiled and said, "Definitely yes. You can rest assured, when you return from the universe, you will no longer be ordinary people. It's the Fantastic Four." He said these words to the four people in the surveillance video. "Great, the Fantastic Four sounds pretty good, so do you really call me the Human Torch?" 35. My name is Mr. Fantastic. The body can change shape at will. It's hard to imagine. When I first became an invisible woman, did I take off my clothes before I became invisible? It's embarrassing to think about it. I'm even worse, but I will become an ugly stone man with orange-red skin. In the surveillance video, the four of them are Johnny, Reed Richards, Susan, and Ben. Whether you accept your own strength or not, it's up to you to choose. I wish you a happy journey," Tang Feng said, nodding to Tony. "Okay, it's time. Please future Fantastic Four, sit down and fasten your seat belts." 3, 2, 1, take off. Tony recalled first, then waited for the countdown to end, and immediately pressed a red button. In the surveillance video, the rocket took off with the aerospace vehicle, and soon broke through the atmosphere and disappeared. "I hope you all have the best and don't die in a solar storm," Tony blessed. "Everything will go well, my predictions will not go wrong. This is what I see in the future from the power of time." 99. The corners of Tang Feng's mouth raised, and he said with a light smile, "I hope so. I just want to ask you one thing. Did you create the sudden solar storm?" Tony frowned at Tang Feng, and finally asked this question. "According to satellite detection, if there is no mistake, there will be no solar storm during this time." However, a solar storm suddenly appeared. Then, Tang Feng suddenly told the prophecy to the four of Reed and asked them to take the spaceship to go to the universe, receive the irradiation of the solar storm, and become the Fantastic Four. "I guess." Tang Feng blinked and smiled, opened the portal, turned around and walked in, waved his hand and said, "Trust me, this is all arranged by fate." 5. The devil believes you. Tony looked at the place where Tang Feng disappeared and said to himself, in fact, not only is he clear in his heart, but everyone knows clearly that a solar storm cannot appear for no reason. It must be Tang Feng's zero. They also believed in Tang Feng's prophecy that the four reeds would become the Fantastic Four. However, this was in the future and the destiny of the Fantastic Four had not yet arrived. Now, Tang Feng intervened in fate, artificially created a solar storm, and asked Reed to become the Fantastic Four in advance. This time, it was very different from Tony's change of destiny. Tony can become Iron Man in advance because he knew about the iron battlesuit and made it in advance. There is no danger in this process. The four Reeds are different. In their future, they can become the Fantastic Four thanks to a miracle. Not only did they survive the solar storm by luck, but they also changed their genes and became an existence similar to Superman. Miracles are not common, even in fate. The Fantastic Four will be born, but before the time comes, it is very dangerous to want to deliberately create miracles and become the Fantastic Four in advance. It was a life-threatening attempt that could fail. If miracles can be done on purpose, they are not miracles. The Reed Four knew this, but, in order to deal with the Zerg annihilation, they had Tang Feng's guarantee and were willing to take the risk. Whether the Reed Four will become the Fantastic Four in advance will be revealed in 3 days. Definitely. Tang Feng returned to the desert, looked at the sky, as if seeing an airship, and muttered to himself, "For him, who can get in touch with fate, a miracle is a very common thing for him." Because he independently created a new fate manipulation skill, he also has some skins in his understanding of fate. In his opinion, it was fate that the Reed Four became the Fantastic Four, just like the way of heaven. This is the general trend. There is another saying that the general trend is irreversible, but the small trend can be changed. Therefore, Tang Feng changed the small trend of the Fantastic Four being born early. The general trend is that the Reed Four will not die in the solar storm and will return 3 days later as the Fantastic Four with super ability. Thinking about it, Tang Feng flew up, squinting his eyes and looking into the distance. Just as he saw the two sisters flying out of the quicksand, he couldn't help but nod. His performance is getting better and better. To express gratitude, let's increase the intensity of the workout. Chapter 211 Pretending to be Confused. Countdown. Day 5. Today is the day of the Fantastic Four's return. Tang Feng is floating above the desert. It is 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and there is no news of their return. What their current situation is, no one knows for the time being, because under the attack of the solar storm, the communication instruments of the aerospace spacecraft will be destroyed, and they will only be able to reconnect with them after they return by the aerospace spacecraft. When Tang Feng was thinking about what time the spacecraft would return today, or whether there was an accident, a loud shout came from below, followed by a powerful wave of energy. Tang Feng came back to his senses, looked down and laughed. After training them for so many days, it finally paid off. I saw the desert below. The sand was turbulent, the gallops soared, superimposed on each other, reaching a height of more than 100 meters. As if a prehistoric beast was about to dig out from below. This is a funeral in the desert. Countless sands can bury everything, and it is also a disaster to be buried under the desert. The Wanda sisters are struggling to survive in this environment. Among them, Lorna finally couldn't hold on any longer, exhausted her strength and fell into a coma. Wanda was the only one left, unable to support the tree alone. Seeing that the countless sands above were about to be pressed down, and she was about to die. At this critical juncture, she finally broke out. The power of chaos, which truly belongs to the 4th level, gushed out from her body, and a large amount of crimson power, like a torrent, did not let her down. Not only did it carry the sand burial, but it also pushed it away and suppressed it overwhelmingly. It was as if the prehistoric beast that was about to burst out of the sand was suppressed by a stronger force. Is this my power? Just after Wanda broke out, her body felt powerless. She kept panting, looked at her hands in surprise, and muttered to herself. At this moment, slaps came from above. Tang Feng clapped his hands, fell down, and said, "Congratulations, so many days of training have not been in vain. You have become a 4th level mutant." "That's right, I have really become stronger. I am already a level 4 mutant, and I am as strong as my father." After Tang Feng's confirmation, Wanda said with joy and excitement. Because I was too excited to forget myself. I didn't realize that my weak body was already overwhelmed. My eyes were dark, my legs were weak, and I was about to fall. Seeing this, Tang Feng hurriedly hugged her and said, "You're in a very bad state now. I'll send you back to the oasis first." Wanda fell weakly into Tang Feng's arms, her heart beating faster, and she blushed softly, like a shy daughter-in-law. Tang Feng smiled and picked up Lorna, who was lying on the sand, with his other hand and flew towards the oasis. Obviously there is a portal and you can reach the oasis in one step, without the trouble of flying. However, Tang Feng didn't use it, as if he had forgotten. Wanda didn't ask or think too much. At that time, she was undoubtedly very weak, and it was impossible for her to recover her strength even after she had ascended to the 4th level. She just kept silent the whole time, squinted her eyes, buried her head in Tang Feng's arms, and felt a sense of security. No one can give this sense of security, only Tang Feng can give it to her. Halfway through the flight, Lorna hummed and woke up from her coma. As soon as she woke up, she felt a strange feeling in her body and immediately screamed and struggled hard. "What are you screaming about? Shut up and I'll throw you out if you move again." Tang Feng quickly hugged Lorna tightly and threatened her. "Sister, don't move, we're flying in the sky now." Wanda looked at Lorna and also reminded, "Oh, I know, King, can you not hold me so tightly?" Lorna reluctantly calmed down, blushing, and her words were vague. "Sister, don't make trouble. How could you be carried flying if you don't hold on tightly?" Without waiting for Tang Feng to speak, Wanda helped speak. "Yes, Wanda is right, you just have to bear with it and you will be at the oasis soon." Tang Feng originally wanted to let go of her hand, but when he heard that Wanda had spoken for him like this, he held back his laughter and pretended to be confused. Lorna was speechless and stared at Tang Feng fiercely. She didn't expect him to be so shameless and take advantage of her so openly. Depressed, she couldn't tell Wanda face to face, "It's not the problem with hugging, but the place where he holds her hands is a bit wrong. If you don't want me to hold you, then I can let you go now and continue training." Tang Feng looked at Lorna with a smile and said in a low voice. Lorna gritted her teeth fiercely. It was so irritating. These kinds of words were definitely a threat. With her current weak state, she couldn't fly at all, and she didn't need to think about continuing training. As long as she was released, she would definitely fall to her death. In this way, she puffed up her face, sullen, turned her face away, stopped talking, and let Tang Feng hug her like this. Tang Feng blinked and smiled, thinking it was quite interesting. There was a feeling of secretly mocking her sister in front of her sister, which was a bit aggressive. This kind of embarrassing thing was not easy to say in public. She knew that even if she said it, Tang Feng would pretend to be surprised and say, "Is there such a thing? Why didn't you say it before?" I can take my hand away, or to put it another way, death doesn't admit it. Lorna thinks that by getting along with Tang Feng these days, she already understands what he is like, just a bastard and a scoundrel. Next, the two sisters felt uncomfortable about their dirty bodies. When they saw the clear lake water, they couldn't bear it any longer and wanted to take a bath. Yawn. "You won't look, right?" Lorna looked at Tang Feng with defensive eyes and asked worriedly, "If you say you won't look at 980, you won't look at it. I've been talking about it." "Okay, hurry up and wash, I'll go first, and let me know by shouting when I'm done." Tang Feng waved his hand and left. "Okay, let's wash it, the king won't lie, he's not the kind of person who likes to spy." Seeing Lorna still staring at the direction Tang Feng was leaving, Wanda laughed. She had already started washing. "Sister, some people are superficial and secretive, don't let him be easily fooled." Lorna saw that Tang Feng was really going far away, hesitated for a moment, and then continued towards the water. The cold water of the lake made her feel comfortable. "You mean the king? Have you misunderstood? I've known him longer than you, and I wonder if I know him better than you. You also know the difficult situation we mutants were in, and it was thanks to him that we were able to build Atlanta. His safety is guaranteed," Wanda said, showing admiration and reverence. "I don't deny it, but he ain't." "What is he?" "You mean I don't have much left?" Lorna didn't say anything depressed. She said he was lustful, it was obvious. Everyone knew that Tang Feng had many women. Did he say he took advantage of that just now? I'm embarrassed to say it. The place where she was hiding underwater already had a red mark. Chapter 212 War Assembly. I don't look. I just look at it openly. 99 Tang Feng laughed softly, using invisible magic, sitting cross-legged not far away, watching with interest. With his amazing eyesight, he could see everything clearly. These days, because of the sister's training, he doesn't have much free time to have fun with Linger and other daughters. Although it is convenient to pass through the portal, he can leave for a while when he needs it at night. However, after all, it is a little inconvenient and he can't enjoy himself. So, the sisters have interfered with his normal life, and it is reasonable that he receives some benefits now. This is why Tang Feng can steal it with peace of mind. As he watched, the phone in his trouser pocket suddenly rang, and the sound was as loud as usual, but to Tang Feng, it was like a bolt from the blue, deafening. He hurriedly opened the portal, vigorously jumped with his feet, and immediately closed the portal after throwing himself into the next moment. The two women who also faintly heard the ringtone of the portal also faintly heard the ringtone of the portal. Mobile phone was startled, and when they looked back, they saw nothing and the ringtone disappeared, as if they had heard it wrong. Roar. It turned out to be an auditory hallucination. It must be because I'm too tired. 9 Lorna breathed a sigh of relief, looked around, and didn't see Tang Feng's figure, thinking that she was too nervous. So she had auditory hallucinations. In the hell training in the wilderness, she has also seen many mirages, so it's no wonder the auditory hallucinations. Only Wanda blushed and remained silent, guessing what was going on. She knew that Tang Feng knew some magic, and it was no wonder that he could be invisible. She also knew that there was a portal, so it was no wonder that she could sneak in time. If the mobile phone ringing she heard is true, then the truth is that Tang Feng was watching them while they were taking a bath just now. Wanda thought, not knowing whether to be angry or happy. She was angry because she was stared at, and Tang Feng looked like a thief, which gave her a feeling of idle disappointment. She was also happy because she was stared at. Tang Feng glanced at her face without regard, which showed that her figure was still attractive to Tang Feng. Wait. It seems that Tang Feng is also looking at her sister. Wanda looked at Lorna with a strange face and couldn't help but think about it. Do the two sisters serve as a husband? Is Tang Feng also interested in Lorna? Do you want the best of both worlds? Hugging and hugging each other. Thinking of what Magneto told them to say before going out, he felt even more uncomfortable. Did Magneto already know that Tang Feng had thoughts about them and agreed? Sister, elder sister, what are you thinking about? You shouldn't be called. Lorna's cry pulled Wanda out of her musings. Oh, nothing. Wanda quickly replied. Yes. Lorna looked at Wanda suspiciously, stopped asking questions, and urged, come on, don't wash anymore. She is calling us. It should be the training to continue. Okay. Wanda nodded, swam to the lake, and quickly got dressed. Wanda has become a 4th level mutant. As for you, it's still a little bit worse. There are only 4 days left. No matter how much you train, you can't advance so quickly. So, the training is over, and we can return to Wakanda. Tang Feng was waiting on the sand dunes, and when he saw the two women flying over, he immediately said, as for the peeking thing just now, he wasn't caught on the spot anyway, so he pretended not to have done it. Didn't peek. There was no such thing. Don't talk nonsense. No. My sister has already broken through the 4th level. I'm almost there. Don't you have 4 days left? Help me train again. Unexpectedly, when Lorna heard that the training was over, not only did she not jump on the spot, but instead said reluctantly, she is undoubtedly a stronger person. She doesn't want to fall behind Wanda, and she also wants to be a 4th level mutant. Sister, don't make trouble. The king is right. Time is running out. The king has wasted a lot of time training us. In the past few days, he has to focus on preparing for a war. Wanda took Lorna's hand and coaxed. Lorna pursed her lips tightly and bowed her head silently. She knew that Wanda was right. She was too selfish. To be honest, although you have the potential to reach the 4th level, you are more likely to reach the 5th level. However, because you wander alone, you have never exercised your own strength, and you don't know how to exercise and use it. Wanda is different from you. She has exercised her own strength very well, so through these days of hellish training, coupled with my use of the power of time, to help restore the injury and restore the state, only under the oppression of death again and again, successfully broke through the 4th level. And you, because the previous foundation was not well established, the hellish training these days only allowed you to lay the foundation and improve your strength by the way. It is really impossible to break through level 4 in just a few days. Tang Feng shook his head and explained, if Lorna has the strength of the Phoenix, the strength of chaos, etc., it is still possible to break through level 4 in a few days. It's a pity that she doesn't have it. Just having that potential doesn't mean that she can easily break through. Vertical bar I know, I'm too greedy. How could it be so easy to break through the 4th level? Lorna let out a light sigh and nodded. She calmed down. Level 3 and level 4 are the difference between heaven and earth. She was really crazy before. How could she think that she could break through level 4 in just a few days? Well, you understand. Today, it's really double happiness. Not only did Wanda become a 4th level mutant, but Reed and the others also successfully returned, and they all have super abilities. Tang Feng smiled, happily announcing the good news. Before his cell phone rang, it was Wakanda who called him and told him that the 4 of Reed returned in a spaceship and became the Fantastic Four safely. Reed? Do they have a super ability? The 2 women were shocked. They were busy training and really didn't know. Yes, during their training, Reed and the others took the spaceship into the cosmos. They were attacked by the solar storm and successfully changed the genes in their bodies. Nuo-Keon, all had super abilities. Their abilities are very powerful, and once they have them, they are no weaker than the 3rd level. As long as they spend some time developing and training, they can reach the 4th level. Tang Feng explained, opened the portal, led the 2 girls out of the desert, and returned to Wakanda. Wow! As soon as they stepped out of the portal, ghosts screamed. Screams were heard from the sky. Tang Feng and the sisters looked up and saw a flaming figure flying in the sky. Ha ha ha, big green guy, come back. Then, there was laughter. An orange-skinned stone man was fighting with the Hulk. Next to him are Tony, Carol, Captain, Reed and others, watching the game curiously. Tang Feng smiled and walked over. As the days of the battlefield approached, not only the Avengers and others arrived, but also the armies of various countries. Chapter 213 The number of armies in each country. Ben, who has just become the Thing, he definitely won't be Hulk's opponent. After a few rounds with Hulk, he punched Hulk with rage a few times, and suddenly he couldn't distinguish between east, west, north, and west. Only his instinct. Okay, let's stop. Tang Feng walked over, snapped his fingers, and used the gravitational pull of the center of the earth to suppress Hulk on the spot. Then, after he finished speaking, he withdrew his power. With Tang Feng's help, Ben was finally able to leave and hurried back to Reed. Hulk stood up from the ground and looked at Tang Feng angrily. He thought of the experience he had with Tang Feng and didn't dare to shoot. He walked back and released Dr. Banner. Reed, congratulations on your successful return. Seeing that Hulk was obedient, Tang Feng smiled and turned to Reed. Yes, we're back. Just like your prophecy, we all have super abilities. 99 Reed stretched out his right arm, extended it half a meter, and retracted it, sighing. I tried 980. If you want to be invisible, you really have to do it. Do you have a good way to let me use the ability more proficiently? Susan asked worriedly. Ha ha ha, I definitely have it. How to masterfully control our own ability is what we mutants are best at. There are still 5 days left, enough for you to master it. Hearing Susan's words, Tang Feng thought of the fact that he took off his clothes and became invisible, and couldn't help but laugh. That's good. Susan breathed a sigh of relief and said, with Tang Feng, she can feel at ease. Otherwise, when she thinks of not being proficient in ability, she will go to the battlefield and then take off her clothes and become invisible. Thinking about it will make people feel ashamed and embarrassed. Carol, Captain, Black Widow, Hawkeye, Dr. Banner, long time no see. 35 And you guys, it seems the Avengers have added a new member. Tang Feng then spoke to Carol and the others, and they greeted her one by one. and also noticed the two additional people. One was Colonel Rhodes, Tony's friend, who gifted him a steel battlesuit to execute justice on behalf of the Steel Patriots. The second is Falcon Sam. The combat tool he used is a pair of high-tech metal wings, which can fly freely like a bird, and the wings are also loaded with powerful small missile-type heat weapons, a jet. Facing Tang Feng's roar movement, Colonel Rhodes and Sam were a little restrained. They smiled and nodded reluctantly, and both respectfully shouted, "King." If they didn't have some ability and were lucky enough to be recruited into the Avengers, then in their capacity, they would not be eligible to contact the bigwig Tang Feng. Compared to the two of them, Carol, the captain, and the others were more casual, waving their hands to respond one after another. "Since we are now comrades in arms, you should take it back to me." Carol held the orange cat in both hands and handed it to Tang Feng, saying, "Okay." Tang Feng did not refuse. He snapped his fingers, instead of using the power of the collapse of order, used the power of time to reverse the orange cat's time and make it return to the past with power. Meow meow meow. As soon as Tang Feng's fingers snapped, the orange cat, who had been languid, was shocked. The hairs all over its body exploded, and it stood up abruptly, yelling roar happily. I saw that it couldn't wait to open its cat's mouth, and dozens of thorny tentacles protruded from it, which was quite terrifying. Rhodes, Sam, Reed and others who saw the orange cat's true face for the first time were all shocked. Then, Tang Feng, as the host, entertained the Avengers and others for tea. Wanda and Lorna made a roar motion and left. "Tony, can you tell me quietly, why did you suddenly help Tang Feng? Did you bully him?" The place where Tang Feng entertains guests is the bamboo building on the side of the wooden cottage lake. It is located in the middle of the lake. While making tea and chatting, he enjoyed the beautiful scenery of the lake and watched the fish swimming and wandering around the place. Dr. Banner sat with Tony and whispered something in his ear. Although he was very quiet, Tang Feng heard him and looked at Tony with a smile. Tony's mouth twitched. He definitely wouldn't tell the truth, and he didn't want to give people random guesses. So he said loudly, "I'm not doing things for Tang Feng, I'm just helping each other. As you know, there are vibranium mines and vibranium technology here, so I made a deal with Tang Feng. He gave me vibranium, shared vibranium technology with me, and I researched some technology for him, and then shared the vibranium version of the developed steel battlesuit for everyone to use during the war. Well, like this, that's it. It's simple. There is no complicated reason." Tony spread his hands and said, "Carol." The captain and the others listened and nodded. Tony was not forced to do so. He was relieved, and if it was not necessary, he did not want to have any more disputes with Tang Feng during this kind of war. Tang Feng looked at Tony's lies with amusement and did not think of dismantling him. Just when he was about to, Tang Feng listened and nodded. After Magneto finished speaking, he said, "So, do you bother to organize the troops of these three countries? So far, how many troops of countries have come here?" When Tang Feng hung up the phone, the captain asked. Tang Feng looked at him and said, "So far, including the armies of the three countries that have just arrived, there have been armies of 33 countries. 8 of them are large countries, and the rest are small countries." Carol played with the dry teacup and said, "I remember everyone discussed it before. The reunification of a large country is 500,000 troops, the unity of weaker countries is 300,000 troops, and the rest of the small countries are based on the actual situation, 10,000 troops, 10,000 to 50,000 or so. It is also stipulated that these soldiers must be 1 in 100 elite soldiers. In other words, the number of troops now gathered in Wakanda is nearly 7 million. Right?" Tang Feng nodded and said, "You are right. The 8 major countries are 4 million. The remaining 25 countries include weak countries and small countries. Some of the troops sent are 300,000, some are only 100,000, and some are 50,000. The combined strength of these countries is about 3.4 million. So the total number of troops now is about 7.4 million. The Black Widow listened and nodded, sighing and said, "When we arrived, we already noticed that there were many troops stationed around, with a radius of dozens of kilometers, and it was crowded at a glance. The tanks and artillery, also lined up in teams, are very scary, and there are armed helicopters, fighter planes flying non-stop in the sky. 5. When the armies of all countries gather, there are more than 40 to 50 million troops, and there are countless hot weapons. When the Zerg annihilation comes and the war begins, I don't know how tragic it will be. Thinking of the super large war of 40 to 50 million troops against hundreds of millions of Zerg is definitely a terrifying scene. Even with Black Widow's calmness, she couldn't help but tremble. The people present also clenched their fists, or held their teacups, and fell silent. Chapter 214 Commander-in-Chief Countdown Day 2 Tang Feng, everyone has gathered. Linger pushed open the door and walked in. In the office, Tang Feng was elegantly dressed and stood by the window, looking at the sky, pondering something. I saw that on the right shoulder of his battle uniform, there was an epaulet that looked like a blue star with 5 small characters on it, the blue star joining. There is also a blue star-shaped epaulet on the left shoulder, with a long, powerful sword added to it, crossed over, which is his status symbol, like a military rank. Understood. Tang Feng came back to his senses, nodded slightly, turned around, waved his hand, the red cloak was floating, and walked out first. Linger followed behind, looking at his back gently. This is her man, the strongest. As long as he is there, he will definitely lead everyone to defeat the Annihilation Zerg. Not only does she think so, but everyone else thinks so too. They all believed in Tang Feng, so they were willing to entrust him with command. Tang Feng walked out of the office, walked all the way, and soon arrived at the meeting place, which was on the wide lawn. Looking at everyone who had gathered in front of him, at a glance, there were countless people, but he didn't look everywhere. But he still walked out with a calm expression on his face. As he walked, the soldiers along the road turned sideways one after another, making way for a path. With serious expressions and uncontrollable excitement, they raised their right hands and gave a military salute. Tang Feng passed through them without squinting and went straight to the end of the road. It was a high platform. He lifted his feet off the ground and slowly floated. Located in the air, he could see the audience more clearly. The high platform was in the center, and the troops of various countries lined up around the high platform to surround the high platform. He saw his own army, Magneto and others standing in front, and Linger returned there. I also saw the army of Country M, with the captain and others standing in front. There is also the army of Country Z, led by some people with unknown super abilities, who also look at him with respect and curiosity. There are also Country Y, Country R, Country E, Country D, etc. The armies of all countries have come. The big countries are the first, the weak countries are the last, and the small countries are the last. When it was full, they all lined up and spread out beyond the border. You must know that there are more than 200 countries in the world, and there are about 40 countries that meet the standards of major powers. There are slightly weaker countries, and the rest are all small countries. All countries have assembled a total of about 50 million troops, which is undoubtedly an astonishing number. Moreover, this is a modern army, and the hot weapons, airplanes, cannons, and tanks that follow the armies of various countries will not be less. With the Wakanda area, it cannot be installed at all. Therefore, within 100 kilometers of Wakanda, with the sky as the wall and the ground as the space, it is considered an arsenal, and these modern weapons are about to be piled up. Now, in order to deal with the crisis of annihilating the Zerg, all of mankind has united and assembled an army of about 50 million. There is still an important question left. Who is the commander-in-chief to lead the army? A headless snake cannot do it. This is undoubtedly a very important issue. If there is no leader, the battle plans of various countries will not be integrated, and the actions will not cooperate, but will be restrained by their own. In this way, it is not a complete army. The combat effectiveness will be greatly attenuated, and the chances of winning may be greatly reduced in the face of the annihilation of the Zerg. Therefore, through everyone's deliberation, it was decided that Tang Feng should be the leader. Only Tang Feng can convince everyone, and only the orders he issues will be followed by all countries. Only he, the son of disaster, with his invincible strength, can make everyone respect and obey orders. Moreover, Tang Feng was originally a king, with a distinguished status, sufficient qualifications, and sufficient prestige. This is how Tang Feng served as the commander-in-chief, and during the war, he mastered 50 million military power. This kind of thing, if it weren't for the threat of annihilating the Zerg, would definitely not have happened. This was the first joint operation in human history, and it was also the first time that a commander-in-chief of 50 million troops appeared. Tang Feng's deeds are destined to be recorded in the history of various countries. As long as human beings do not perish, they will be passed on forever. Today is a memorable day. Tang Feng will gather here with 50 million troops, hold a simple ceremony, and take the oath. Around the high platform, cameras have already been set up, and 3 helicopters are hovering in the sky to film Tang Feng in all directions. This oath ceremony will be broadcast live to the world. In order to appease the panicked people, from now on, Wakanda's live broadcast will continue until the end of the war. In this way, people who can know the situation of the war at any time can hardly suppress the panic, anxiety, fear, and other negative emotions in their hearts, and wait for the outcome of the war. Whether you win or lose, they will know. If you are always ignorant and keep in the dark, I believe it will drive you crazy. On this day, the whole world has been temporarily shut down. Workers don't have to go to work, students don't have to go to school, companies are closed, shops are closed, factories have stopped production, and the bustling streets were originally crowded, and it was a rare sight of people, like 2 or 3 in the morning. 0 people all over the world and their families have heavy expressions, staying at home and watching the live broadcast. The Zerg annihilation is approaching, the war is about to begin, and the war that decides the fate of all mankind will be handed over to Tang Feng and everyone gathered in Wakanda. In this depressing and panicked atmosphere, no one wants to work anymore. Everyone is praying in their hearts, hoping that the war can be won and everything will be left to Tang Feng and the others. In fact, under this kind of crisis, there will definitely be many panicked people who will choose to make a fuss and do things that they normally dare not do or think about. They don't know what the outcome of the war will be, and if humans lose, they can relax before they die. However, every country has expected this kind of thing. In addition to the troops sent to Wakanda, every country has troops to suppress the situation. In every city, fighter planes and armed helicopters kept circling, and the sound of machine guns from time to time frightened those who tried to cause trouble below. In the city, there are also tanks, armed military vehicles, and soldiers lined up in groups, wandering around non-stop, deterring people who want to cause trouble. In difficult times, heavy code is used. If anyone tries to cause trouble in a situation like this, there is no need to warn them, and they will be killed. Since this is a global joint operation, all countries will abandon all grievances and help each other. Some small countries don't have so many troops to protect their territories, and some countries that still have spare forces will send soldiers to help. If a large country's territory is too large to be suppressed everywhere, neighboring countries will lend a hand and send soldiers to help. During this period, there was no longer any border dividing line between countries. No matter the country's soldiers, fighter planes, or tanks, they can go to all countries at will. This is the first time that countries can work together in such a way. At this moment, Tang Feng's words of oath were transmitted to every household in the world through a live broadcast. I hereby swear, no matter how difficult the war is, no matter how powerful the annihilation of the Zerg is, I believe that the strength of everyone united is the strongest. The most important thing is that you have me. As long as I am here, there will be no opponents in front of me. I will be invincible in battle and invincible in attack. All you have to do is follow me and enjoy Roar's victory. Chapter 215 A Sleepless Night. After Tang Feng took the oath and became the commander-in-chief of the entire army, he was no longer idle and busy. Every second, every minute, all kinds of things bothered him. Tang Feng frowned irritably. He didn't know much about war, so he could only ask the staff for advice. He continued the experience of being the king of Atlantis. As a person in power, he left the things he didn't understand to those who knew how to do it. He only had to make the final decision, so he could relax a lot and work smoothly. It was done quickly. Moreover, His staff members are all made up of the most powerful military strategists or generals known in various countries. In terms of familiarity with war, each of them is much better than him. Therefore, Tang Feng stopped pretending to be smart, and the most he said was, "What does Yuan think, Fang? No, it's wrong. It should be what you think." This kind of busy and frustrating time is not a long time. Just the day passed, and when the next night came, I was free for a while. 980 Wakanda fell into silence, as if it were a noisy situation during the day. It never happened. All preparations for war have been made. The armies of various countries have been dispatched to various places in Wakanda and even further afield. From time to time, there will be fighter jets, tanks, rocket artillery missile vehicles, these hot weapons, lined up in a team, looking up at the sky, ready to go. If you look down from the sky, you will find an army of 50 million, centered on Wakanda, arranged in a square formation, wearing the same military uniform, printed with the unified Blue Star logo, with 5 small characters on it, Blue Star Union. This kind of military force, coupled with various modern militarized thermal weapons, is undoubtedly very shocking to the eye. Under the shooting of the drones, this picture has also spread all over the world. The people who saw it were shocked and their panic calmed down. This is the power of their human beings. So strong, so many troops, plus Tang Feng, who has the strongest human being, will definitely win. Grandma, will those Zerg bad guys come tomorrow? Can we win? The whole family is watching the live video, and they don't even think about going to play at night or going to bed early. No one can sleep peacefully, unless it's a child. Just watching the live broadcast can make them feel more at ease. Although it's dark in the video, I can't see it clearly, but I just want to watch it, and I'm not in the mood to do anything else. A certain family, their little baby, little angel, watched the live broadcast together, looked at the old grandmother, and asked in a milky voice, "Yes, it will. Superheroes can defeat the bad guys. You see, those military uncles are also so powerful that they can definitely beat the Zerg bad guys to the bottom." The old grandmother reluctantly said with a smile, "Okay, the bad guys are too bad. Tomorrow I will see how the uncles defeat those cosmic bad guys." Children always believe what adults say, and Roar is excited. Only the adults remained silent, and the worry in their eyes never diminished. The anxiety, worry, and fear of these emotions are increasing every moment as the time of war approaches. Some people couldn't stand the oppressive atmosphere and screamed. On this night, many people were crying, and many people were intoxicated with alcohol. And from time to time the wolf howled and shouted, "The Zerg annihilation of shit, little bugs, come on, I'm not afraid of them, as much as you come, kill as much as you want." The clamor of these drunks, in the quiet night, spread everywhere and seemed to have a very strong infectious force, and one person began to follow them and shout, "How much to come? How much to kill?" Wakanda. Hawkeye is on the phone and says this jokingly, comforting his girlfriend, "Hey, Potts, why are you crying? Don't worry, you can help me run the company with peace of mind. It's very late, go to bed first, and as soon as awakening comes, maybe the war will be over, and what you hear will be the news of our victory. Oh, by the way, you have to sleep a little more. If you wake up too early, not only will the war not end so quickly, but it's not good for your skin. You know, if a woman wants to look good, she has to get enough sleep." Tony was still in the lab, checking his steel battlesuit and talking to Pepper Potts on the phone. When he finished the communication, he didn't think about going to bed, but continued to be busy. He didn't know what he was busy with. He had already made all the preparations, but he just couldn't sleep, and his anxiety made him unable to feel at ease. "Ha, come again. Okay, be careful." "Boy, bastard, how can you deliberately confront you? Hung to resist the attack?" There is an old saying in the East, that the sound of the East hits the West. In an exercise room, the captain and the Black Widow fought endlessly, spending the long night. "Gugu, you say you will win tomorrow? Meow meow meow, meow meow." "Well, you're right, we will win. After all, he is there. Meow meow, meow meow." "Are you scolding him? Then you have to be quiet. Let him hear it, maybe he will turn you into a normal cat again." Meow meow? Meow 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 hee hee hee, I'm scared, see if you dare to scold him. After laughing for a while, Captain Marvel Carol was wearing a loose nightgown, looking very sexy, leaning against the window, looking at the stars in the sky, stroking the orange cat, and muttering to herself, "Wait until you defeat the Annihilation Zerg. I will return to the universe and take you with me this time. It is estimated that you have been here for so many years, and you will feel very bored." Meow meow meow. The orange cat squinted its eyes, rubbed its head against her hand, and barked happily. "Oh, that sucks." In an empty training room, the walls were made of vibranium, and the hardness was astonishing. As soon as Dr. Banner came back to his senses, he saw signs of being crushed everywhere, and he had a bad feeling. After seeing it through the surveillance video, he couldn't help but take pictures. In the video, Hulk was wearing the steel battlesuit that Tony specially made for him. In the end, Hulk roared and arrogantly dismantled the flight device, and finally stopped flying. Then he went back and let Dr. Banner out. "If you can't control the flight battlesuit, on tomorrow's battlefield, you can only fight on the ground, and there is no air combat method, which is not good. 35 Tony's special battlesuit for you. With the help of artificial intelligence, even a child can learn it. So, Hulk, you have to be patient. You can definitely learn it. This is what Tang Feng and Carol specifically told you to do." 4.7 Dr. Banner took out the flight device he had prepared, and with the help of artificial intelligence, he recharged the battlesuit and said to himself, it was unimaginable that Hulk would put on a battlesuit and learn to fly. However, this was Tang Feng's request, and Carol agreed, so he had no choice but to do so. When he put on the shape-shifting battlesuit, slapped himself a few times, and let go of Hulk, he didn't know that although Hulk looked irritable, he was still learning to fly. He regards Hulk as a beast, but he doesn't know that Hulk is also wise, and as he grows up, his intelligence will become higher and higher. Therefore, he who can think is also afraid. From Tang Feng's words, he is like an irritable child, although he is angry at roar's roar, roar. It is obedient and can only be wronged. The night is getting darker and darker. In the night sky, there seems to be a huge shadow floating quietly. Chapter 216 Zerg Annihilation finally arrives. Cheers. Cheers. The two new Avengers, Colonel Rhodes and Sam, were drinking and chatting. They were very anxious about tomorrow's war and could only be numbed by alcohol. "Aren't you asleep yet?" Magneto couldn't sleep either and wanted to make himself a cup of coffee. As soon as he entered the lobby, he saw Wanda and Lorna talking, and he didn't know what they were talking about. But he only heard the word Tang Feng. "No, I can't sleep." Wanda and Lorna stopped talking and answered at the same time. "Yes, I can't sleep either, so let's talk." "Pietro, stop eavesdropping, come out." Magneto made coffee, sat on the sofa, looked around the corner, and shouted, "First of all, I didn't eavesdrop, I just couldn't sleep and just came here to make a cup of coffee." With a flash of silver light, Quicksilver explained as if he was sitting on another sofa out of nowhere. At this, the 209 women rolled their eyes before not believing his nonsense. Magneto took a sip of coffee with a smile, looked at the two women, and asked, "I heard what you were saying about the king just now. Did you miss him? Anyway, tomorrow is war. Tonight, you can do whatever you want. If you want it, go find it, and I'll treat it as if I didn't see it." As soon as these words came out, Quicksilver was stunned, and the two women were also stunned, followed by embarrassed expressions. "I don't believe it, Dad. Don't talk nonsense." "These are Wanda's words. The king is a bastard. I won't miss him, let alone go to him at this time." "This is Lorna's word." "Ha ha ha, is that so? Why do I feel that my words are wrong? In fact, in my opinion, although the king has more women, he is really a good man who deserves his life. Don't miss him." Magneto laughed. "HMPH, I don't think about him." 99 Lorna said angrily, "Tomorrow is the war, and I don't have the heart to think about it now." Wanda did not deny it positively, but said worriedly, "It is precisely because the war is approaching that I am interested in asking this. Alas, I don't know if I can survive this war. If I can't, I will unfortunately die. Before I die, I know that you belong to me, and I feel that I can leave with peace of mind. 35 Magneto sighed. No, Dad, don't talk nonsense. 99 Quicksilver quickly waved his hand and said in a panic. The two women were also shocked, but they didn't expect Magneto to be ready to die, and they panicked and shouted, "No, how could you die?" In response, Magneto smiled wryly and shook his head. "I'm old, my energy is running out, and my body is not working either. Even with the protection of a steel battlesuit, I don't know if I can survive until the end of the war. My Emma, tonight we will hurry up and have as much fun as we can." "Okay, my sister Black Queen, it's a pity that Tang Feng is not here." This is the dialogue between the Black Queen and the White Queen. Compared to the evil old Magneto, their energy is not enough. "Scott, or Olo, if I leave, my Xavier Academy will depend on you from now on." Charles is also explaining his last words. His Xavier Academy has been transferred to Atlantis. No matter how busy his work is, he still finds time to teach students. In Atlantis, the Xavier Academy is no longer the academy that houses mutants, but the best school, and Charles is the best principal. "Professor, it will be fine," Scott and Oralo said with worrying comfort. "Brothers, how long has it been since we drank so leisurely?" "I don't remember, I only know that it's been a long time." "Cheers." "Cheers." 35 After the establishment of Atlantis, with the help of Tang Feng, Sabretooth has regained his memory. Before the war came, the two brothers Sabretooth and Wolverine finally reconciled, so all grievances disappeared. Two big men, sitting on the roof, kept cheering. "Little Wolf, oh my little wolf, where are you?" Deadpool walked aimlessly and called out in a low voice, and then saw a lonely figure sitting in front of him. "Little Wolf, is that you?" Deadpool shouted, jumping closer. "Well, I'm sorry. Because of the dark night, I couldn't see clearly. When I got closer, I saw that it was Juggernaut." His body stiffened and his face was hidden under the mask. Unfortunately, Deadpool couldn't leave, and Juggernaut, who was disturbed, grabbed him with one hand, hugged him tightly, brought him a bottle of wine, and said loudly, "Drink." "Okay, let me go first, I'm going to kill you." Then, Deadpool, under the coercion of Juggernaut, continued to drink, like a weak and helpless woman. "Wow, it's so long." 35 Ben, you're too tough. "Ah, you almost burned your clothes." The above are Susan's words. She and three men are practicing against each other. Don't think about it. Although the Fantastic Four can initially control their own power, they will do their best to get acquainted with them while they still have a little time. Tonight, everyone couldn't sleep and were doing something. The same is true for the 50 million soldiers, whether it is making phone calls, writing letters, or they are all explaining their fate. 983 As ordinary people, they have already had a sense of death. For the sake of humanity and the family behind them, they are not afraid of death, and will continue to move forward until they die and fall. This is the soldiers' belief. Tang Feng was not sleepy at all that night. He didn't do anything indulgent while he still had time, but had a barbecue with Linger's 4 daughters by the lake, happily speaking sweet words. This is enough. The so-called happiness is so simple. In this way, the night gradually passed, and the darkness before dawn arrived. This was the darkest period of time, and it seemed to herald an impending crisis. Then, a ray of morning light appeared in the sky, dispelling the darkness, and the world ushered in light. At the same time, in the outer space of the blue star, a wormhole appeared without warning, and the Annihilation Zerg controlled several strangely shaped spaceships, approaching the blue star. Finally, they come. Tang Feng let out a sigh of relief, smiled at Linger's 4 daughters, kissed them on the forehead, and flew high into the sky, Calamity bursting into boiling water. In this way, a dull red light appeared in the sky, burning to the max, more dazzling than the rising sun. When everyone looked up and saw this scene, their hearts tightened. They understood what was going on. All of them became serious and urgently returned to their posts. The Annihilation Zerg have finally arrived. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 217 of the natural disaster broke out. No, the satellite in orbit has been destroyed by half. The strong Zerg, the rest of the satellites, don't care about other things. All turn on the attack mode. Hit me hard and kill as many as you can. In the command room, through satellite monitoring, everyone can see the appearance of the annihilation of the Zerg, and also see the power of the Zerg. Through the cooperation of various countries, a small part of the satellites in orbit are temporarily loaded with some attack performance, or lasers, or missiles, or powerful self-destruction, some of which are comparable to the power of small nuclear bombs. However, annihilating the Zerg is like a surging flood. Whether it is an energy attack emitted by some large Zerg, or other means of attack, or the spaceships they brought, the beams of the light cannons they launched, can easily destroy these satellites. The satellite defense method only brought negligible damage to the annihilation Zerg. Not good. Those Zerg will disperse and land. In the command room, there was an alarm sound. Roar. On the only remaining monitoring satellite, you can see the annihilation Zerg originally attached to the spacecraft. There are signs of moving away from the spacecraft, and it is about to separate. They can't be diverted, or the consequences will be very serious. Should we launch a nuclear bomb to intercept them? Someone hurriedly asked. Don't worry, our commander-in-chief has already said that he has a way. We just need to trust him. Someone made a serious statement. Once the nuclear bomb is launched, it will not be a matter of 1 or 2, but will continue until the annihilation Zerg are severely damaged. They still don't know what it means to annihilate the Zerg, and the danger of nuclear bombs is too strong. If they can't launch them, they try not to launch them. Tang Feng was floating in the air. Through the observation of the detection field, he noticed it before the staff in the command room. He took a deep breath. The disaster was boiling. He raised his right hand and snapped his fingers. A natural disaster order collapsed. The fluctuations of invisible, transmitted from him, quickly spread to outer space, leaping over all the Zerg in an instant. What kind of power is this? It's so powerful. Not the power of that hateful woman. Queen Blade was shocked. She was also level 5, and she could definitely sense the natural disaster power used by Tang Feng. The power came from that direction. It seems that besides her, there is another level 5 powerhouse on this planet. Go ahead, let all the troops land there together, concentrate all the strength first, and kill the strong man. If you guess correctly, the woman called Captain Marvel will also be there, just by the way to get her back. 35 Queen Blade's decision. She didn't know that she was already affected by the power of natural disasters, because the power to reverse his thoughts is very hidden. And because he didn't want to commit suicide. The resistance is not strong, and the reasons seem reasonable, so he thinks it is his own decision. In this way, all the Zerg landed in the direction of Wakanda, and several spaceships also passed through the atmosphere one after another, and a large number would cover the sky of Wakanda. There is no doubt that everyone who was waiting for the arrival of the Zerg in Wakanda was shocked on the spot. Their mouths were open, and their voices were lost for a while. The scene of the official arrival of the Zerg was also broadcast to all parts of the world through the live broadcast camera. At this moment, the world lost its voice, and many people trembled physically and mentally. There are too many of them, and if you want to eliminate some of them as much as possible, let's play Roar first. Tang Feng muttered to himself, looked at the countless Zerg spaceships above his head, his face calm, and he snapped his fingers 4 times in a row. Natural disaster doomsday volcano. A rumbling sound was heard, followed by the faint vibration of the earth. When everyone was puzzled, they all saw a ray of red light rising in the distance. It was a scene of magma gushing out of a volcano. There were a total of 9 pillars of fire, accounting for about 50% of the volcanic power of the entire planet, concentrated in the 9 craters, and then ejected together. Tang Feng did not dare to expel all the volcanic power. If there was no magma on a planet, it would immediately cause serious consequences. If only 50% of the magma was consumed, even if it still damaged the planet's environment, The consequences would not be serious in a short period of time, and he could make up for it afterwards. As the 9 pillars of fire sprayed out, the doomsday tornado also appeared, and it was also a 9,000-meter tornado, engulfing the 9 pillars of fire and shooting straight towards the Zerg in the sky. At the same time, the planet's powerful gravitational force was involved in the Zerg, pressuring them, including the spaceship, to fiercely accelerate the fallen collide with the 9 pillars of wind and fire. What a strong human! This kind of power is not as simple as level 5. Queen Blade sighed and said, without panic, as long as it is not the power of the true God, do not be afraid. She coldly gave the order, activate the defensive formation. After finishing speaking, all the spaceships opened their defense. The decks were connected to each other, like the accumulation of building blocks, turning the scattered spaceships into a whole. From the perspective of everyone below, a huge energy dome appeared in the sky. Then, Jiu Dao integrated the volcanic magma and the fire pillar of the doomsday tornado, and slammed into the energy dome fiercely. Moreover, the gravitational force is greatly enhanced, and the cooperative compression will crush it. Only 9 consecutive crashes were heard, a dazzling red light burst out in the sky, and there was a shocking explosion scene. Vertical bar just destroyed 2/10 of the amount. My attack hasn't stopped yet. Tang Feng's eyes were cold and stern, and he said in a condensed voice, how are the casualties? The Queen Blade spaceship was located in the center of the energy dome and was not affected. He sat on the throne and asked calmly, the number of soldiers has lost about 20 million, the spaceship has been damaged by 1,000, and there are still 4,000 left. The reported Zerg was horrified. No matter whether it was Zerg or spaceship, the amount of damage, I promise the money is good, was too astonishing. HMPH, I didn't expect to destroy so many spaceships, but it's worth it. This unknown power has used such a strong power, and the consumption must be very large. Queen Blade guessed that she didn't feel bad about the death of the Zerg. Anyway, there were as many Zerg as they wanted, but she felt bad for the spaceship. Every spaceship, whether it is made of precious materials, advanced technology, or transformed with rare super-large insect bodies, is a precious resource and cannot be destroyed at will. Under normal circumstances, the spaceship is not responsible for the war, and is only responsible for opening the wormhole. This alone is very important for the Annihilation Zerg, able to march quickly, launch wars, and invade the planet. No, there is a small planet in the back that collides. No, yes, 3 small planetary foxes. At this moment, a Zerg soldier looked at the surveillance video in horror and shouted, Chapter 218 The 3,000 fireballs that fall on Wakanda. Quickly, activate the Star Destroyer cannon. Queen Blade's response was very quick. Looking at the surveillance video, the 3 small planets crashed behind the spaceship. Each of them was huge, with a radius of 10,000 meters. She was shocked and stood up from the throne. She said decisively. The Zerg soldiers immediately nodded and obeyed the order, and hurriedly gave the order. Really powerful humans. However, they will not be our Zerg opponent. Queen Blade looked at another monitor screen, which showed Tang Feng's figure, and the other screens were various images of the Wakandan army. For the rest of the army, she did not look a second time, but looked at Tang Feng and Carol who was standing in the army below. It can be said that Tang Feng's strength has filled her with fear, but she still has the confidence to win. Even if Carol is at it, she can still win. She has the confidence to win. As he spoke, of the remaining 4,000 spaceships, 3,000 spaceships opened their side guns and aimed at the rear. Another 1,000 ships, still heading below Wakanda, were on alert. Tang Feng didn't think about pursuing victory. He gasped and used all 4 natural disasters at once. The energy consumed was too much, and the energy that had been abundant all the time was exhausted, causing Carol, Jin, take this time. Although Tang Feng didn't take action for the moment, Carol and Qin, who were both level 5, also had the ability to act, and he categorically shouted, come. Carol responded, using the double star state. The bright energy enveloped her body. She leaped forcefully, roar whistled directly into the sky, and when she rushed past Tang Feng, she turned her head and glanced at him. Tang Feng nodded heavily, and said softly, don't die. Carol smiled back, turned her head, stared firmly at the spaceship in the sky, and accelerated to fly away. At this moment, Qin put on the vibranium version of the steel battlesuit and flew to Tang Feng's son one step behind. Qin, promise me, don't be brave. If something goes wrong, just leave first. Tang Feng tilted his head to look at Qin and warned, I see. Qin opened the mask, nodded lightly, and said with a smile. Then, he pulled down the mask, and the flying device spewed out stronger flames and accelerated to fly away. Tang Feng watched the two figures fly away. There was worry in his eyes, but he had no regrets. No matter how powerful the Zerg were, they were all level 5 powerhouses and would not be defeated and killed so easily. Not good. Two humans flew over, and they both detected that the energy they are exploding now will not be lower than level 5. What? Besides Captain Marvel and that man, there is a level 5 powerhouse. Queen Blade was startled, finally unable to calm down, and looked at the monitor screen nervously. She could see that Carol exploded with power first, hitting the protective cover of 1,000 spaceships connected to each other. The impact force was very strong, and a circle of ripples appeared on the defensive cover, and soon cracks appeared. Then, under Carol's shout, she continued to hit, like a straw crushing the camel. The shield finally shattered. Afterwards, Qin came and took the attack. The Phoenix's strength that had already been accumulated, when he threw out a punch, a huge Phoenix Phantom, nearly 1,000 meters in size, disintegrated the Zerg in the way and hit a spaceship. Suddenly the spaceship broke down into molecules, and all the Zerg on the spaceship broke down together. Afterwards, before the Phoenix Phantom's power was exhausted, it continued to dismantle the spaceships and swept away the surrounding Zerg. With such a punch, Qin killed millions of Zerg, including more than a dozen spaceships. If it weren't for the size of the spaceships, each of them was not much worse than the size of an aircraft carrier, plus the power consumed by the Zerg, adding up, it could only break down such a small number of spaceships. Carol rushed past Qin, using her body as an arrow. She rushed towards a spaceship, a jet, arrogantly penetrated a few times, and destroyed a spaceship in her own way. Then, she flew towards the next spaceship. As for the densely packed Zerg blocking the way, they all maintained a calm expression and crashed to death. Crushed to death. She did not deliberately kill the insect race, but instead focused on destroying the spaceship first. Queen Blade looked at her with a livid face, and already had the heart to fight against the two girls. However, instead of leaving immediately, she looked at another piece of surveillance video. She had to wait a moment to make sure that the 3 small planets were destroyed. In her eyes, 3,000 spaceships had already fired Star Destroyer cannons, and each fired at a small planet with the number of Star Destroyer cannons of 1,000 spaceships. Almost at the same time, the 3 small planets were shot down by a large number of Star Destroyers. In the silent universe, strong fluctuations of the invisible were transmitted far away. The momentum of the 3 small planets that had collided fiercely gradually decreased. After flying with the Star Destroyer cannon for a minute or two, they finally stopped their momentum and began to fly away from the rear as they cracked. In the end, the 3 small planets shattered and turned into a large amount of debris, which flew around, and many fell to the blue star and turned into meteorites. Success. Report. The 3 small planets have been destroyed, and the energy of the 3,000 spaceships is insufficient, so they can no longer fire Star Destroyers. Queen Blade listened to the report of the Zerg warriors, and although she was angry, she made a decision and said coldly, since there is no more energy, let the warriors on the spaceship leave, and the 3,000 spaceships will fall to the blue star to play the final role. 5. Do you really want to do this? The Zerg warrior's head, which was originally lowered, suddenly raised, and he stared at Queen Blade blankly. This is a precious spaceship, or 3,000, which is too wasteful. Queen Blade walked towards her with a cold face, similar to a female body, giving her a different kind of temptation. She kicked the Zerg warrior with her slender right leg, and her 5 toes pierced 5 sharp thorns, which were long and sharp. The body penetrated, and the right foot scraped, tearing his body in two. Have you not given orders yet? Do you want to die too? Queen Blade said sharply to the surrounding Zerg warriors as if she had killed a small bug. Yes, yes, yes. The Zerg warriors hurriedly nodded their heads. They were already wise and were definitely afraid of death. 3,000 spaceships were ordered to use the last of their energy to accelerate and fall towards the blue star, heading towards Wakanda. The volume of each spaceship is comparable to that of an aircraft carrier, and 3,000 ships fell together. What a shocking scene! Like 3,000 huge amounts of fireballs, each with a diameter of several hundred meters, like the divine punishment brought by the world-annihilating natural disaster. Chapter 219. One after another shots to intercept. This is the scene where the world-destroying fireball appears. The people around the world who were watching the live broadcast couldn't help but stand up abruptly. Shocking roar. They were worried about the Wakandan army, and even more worried about Tang Feng, who was suspended in the sky. He was at the top and would be hit by 3,000 fireballs first. As for the two girls, Kin and Carol, because they had already entered this war, they simply avoided the route of the huge fireball. After the two women slaughtered wildly at the beginning, they are not so fierce now. They are destroying the spaceship, killing the Zerg by the way, and dodging the energy beams fired from the spaceship. From time to time, there is another star destroyer bombarding Tang Feng. Kin looked at Tang Feng's figure. Although she knew that Tang Feng was strong, she also knew that her previous strength had consumed a lot, so she couldn't help but feel a little worried. After a little distraction, a star destroyer cannon was fired. Kin was shocked and immediately came back to her senses, no longer distracted to think about anything, and focused on fighting the enemy first. The Phoenix Force erupted, forming a defensive shield outside her body, blocking the star destroyer cannon. At this moment, the 2 or 3 spaceships around, seeing that Kin was temporarily restricted, did not hesitate. Condensed energy, and the muzzle of the muzzle was shining with the light of the Star Destroyer cannon. Kin pursed her lips tightly, strengthened her strength, and was ready for a wave of Star Destroyer cannons. At this moment, Carol flew towards a spaceship at extreme speed, passed through it 2 or 3 times, and then continued to fly towards the next spaceship. Behind her, the spaceship that had been pierced earlier broke apart and exploded. Seeing this, Kin sighed in relief, took the opportunity to fly to the side, and made her way into the swarm. Just as she wanted to continue flying towards the remaining spaceships, the insect swarm surrounding her suddenly avoided her and formed a large circle. The same thing happened to Carol on the other side. Go all of you and kill all the people on the planet below, and they will be handed over to this queen. A path was opened in the swarm, and Queen Blade flapped her wings behind her, and as she flew, she gave orders. Similar to a human body, there are traces of an insect shell on her face. The left side is a perfect profile face, and the right side still has a green shell, like a mask. And those wings, similar to those of a mosquito, with membranes but with sharp serrations on the edges. Her hands and feet have sharp, deadly claws, and her entire body seems to be designed for killing. Be careful, she is the Queen of Blades. Carol flew to Jean's side and reminded her. Kin nodded solemnly. She had already raised her guard and did not dare to relax. Although it was a 2-on-1 fight, they had already made a big move before, destroying nearly 10 million Zerg and 300 spaceships. The Queen of Blades is in her prime and is good at fighting, so the outcome of the fight is unknown. When the two women faced Queen Blade, the surrounding insect swarm screamed, bypassing them and flying down. Only it was seen that the remaining 70 million Zerg, following behind the 3,000 fireballs, officially launched an attack on Wakanda. The remaining 700 spaceships of the annihilated Zerg did not follow them, but flew back to the void of the universe and received an order from Queen Blade to open the wormhole and welcome more Zerg. However, because there are only 700 spaceships left and there is not enough energy, the opened wormhole cannot be directly connected to the ancient nest, only 1/3 of the distance. For the remaining 2/3 of the distance, it is necessary to wait for the Zerg of the ancient nest to get going and approach it on their own, and then open the wormhole in both directions through the signals connected to each other, so that the Zerg of the ancient nest can be brought in immediately. This process takes about an hour. When the Zerg sent the reinforcement signal back to the nest, Tang Feng raised his head and calmly looked at the 3,000 fireballs approaching. Then, he lowered his eyebrows and lowered his head, not caring too much, and concentrated on restoring his strength. This war is not a war of his own, and there are many comrades behind him. In this case, he does not need to take action. Just after thinking about it, someone fired to resist. First, the sound of missile launches came from below. 10,000 guns sounded. The rockets carrying missiles avoided Tang Feng in the distance and bombarded the 3,000 fireballs above. The rumbling sound continued, and flames burst into the sky, but about 500 large fireballs were destroyed, and the rest continued to fall. Do you want to launch a nuclear weapon to intercept? No need. In the command room, an old general waved his hand to stop him, looking at the surveillance video, and said, "SHHHHHHHHHHHHHH." In the direction of the Wakanda laboratory, steel robots flew out one by one. Each robot was 3 meters high and loaded with various vibranium heat weapons, like a war-killing machine. This is the Thor robot developed by Reed, and there are 100 of them. Immediately afterwards, Sentinel flew out. There were 60 in total. Although the number is smaller, they all have many variant abilities, and the power of each Sentinel is only worse than that of the 4th-level mutant. If 2 or 3 Sentinels work together, they can fight against a 4th-level mutant, and if they cooperate with 5, they can defeat or kill a 4th-level mutant. Asking for flowers next, it's my Iron Legion's turn to appear. Tony raised his left hand, tapped the instrument on his wrist a few times, and said with a smile, "Didn't you make these vibranium steel battle suits?" "What other steel bodies?" Dr. Banner, who had already put on his special steel battle suit, asked curiously. "I'm busy making the vibranium version of the steel battle suit, but I don't need to make the normal Mark battle suit. Jarvis can do it for me," Tony explained, pointing his finger back. "I saw an astonishing number of steel battle suits, flying into the sky, fusing with the Thor robot and Sentinel." "How many are these?" the captain asked in astonishment. The people around were also astonished. "Not many, only 10,000. Tony shrugged and said casually, "Indeed, 10,000 seems optimistic, but if he faces Thor and Sentinel, he must be defeated." As they spoke, the 3 robots lined up, all using their maximum energy output, to bombard upwards. After a wave of attacks ended, hundreds of fireballs were destroyed. Then, 60 Sentinels flew out of the array, and laser beams were launched at the speed of light, and 120 beams were carefully drawn. After a wave, then he turned to control the magnetic field and controlled the collision of large fireballs. In this way, bursts of flames erupted in the sky. This wave ended, and only half of the 3,000 fireballs are left. Next, the 3 robots did not intercept, but flew away first, to retain energy, waiting to fight the next swarm. The remaining fireballs will be intercepted by someone. Spaceship. Start. Attack mode. Power up. Aim and fire. After Surua shouted 3 times excitedly, the ground of the laboratory split apart. A spaceship twice the size of an aircraft carrier. The hull was full of futuristic sci-fi feeling, and the metallic luster was shining. That was vibranium. The shape of the spaceship is more like a fighter jet, with a leopard in front of it, as if it was spreading its fangs and making a roar. As soon as the spaceship took off, all the guns were opened, and there were about 500 of them, and together they emitted thick laser beams. In front of the leopard's head spaceship, the opened mouth also had a main cannon, which fired a stronger and thicker energy cannon, smashing 3 large fireballs into pieces at once. Chapter 220 Warriors of the Zerg Guard. After a wave of attacks from the Leopard-type spacecraft, 3,000 fireballs were no longer enough. Immediately afterwards, the ground below roared again, and another wave of missiles was launched. In this way, there are about 500 or 600 fireballs left. In addition, the remains of the spacecraft covering the sky, carrying flames, and the remaining intact spacecraft continued to fall, reaching a range of several hundred meters near Tang Feng. Tang Feng sighed in his heart. Depending on the situation, he still needs to take action to clean up the mess. Just as he was about to act, the situation changed. The openings of many portals appeared beside him, and many magicians flew out of them. 3 people took the lead, Wang on the left, Mordo on the right, and Doctor Strange Stephen Strange in the middle. Tang Feng's face was stunned, his eyebrows raised. The magicians were a little surprised, and the appearance of Doctor Strange surprised him even more. Unexpectedly, due to his reasons, Ancient One made Doctor Strange appear so early. "Why are you here? Didn't Ancient One say 1987 can't be shot?" Tang Feng came back to his senses and asked strangely, "Just because Sorcerer Supreme can't escape to help doesn't mean we can't escape. The Dark Lord and the Infernal Lord are being suppressed by Sorcerer Supreme, so we're here to help," Wang replied. "Let's all start together." Doctor Strange nodded to Tang Feng. It was a roar move. Time was running out, and he didn't say much. After speaking loudly, he shot first and opened a huge portal. Just as 3 large fireballs fell, the root, which teleported the 3 of them to other places. The other wizards also shot together, and the magical powers joined together to open a supergiant portal, sending out the large fireballs and a large amount of debris one after another. At this moment, a large fireball has fallen. After all, there are so many of them, it is impossible for wizards to teleport all at once. Tang Feng looked up, smiled slightly, turned a blind eye to the large fireball, the fire that was about to hit his eyes, and he didn't take it seriously. Sure enough, someone shot. Wang shouted loudly, his face flushed a little, consumed a lot of magic power, opened a large portal, and sent the large fireball far away in time. This is the only one who can get close to the large fireballs like Tang Feng. After that, there are no more fireballs. All the large fireballs and 70 to 80% of the spaceship wreckage have been teleported away by the wizards. The first time the wizard made his move in front of the world, it shocked everyone, excited and surprised. He never thought that the legendary wizard actually existed. "The air is not where we are good at fighting, so we left first," Doctor Strange said to Tang Feng, opened the portal, entered first, and returned to the ground. "Tang Feng, I believe you can lead everyone to victory," Wang said firmly, followed into the portal, and the rest of the wizards also entered. After the magicians left, Tang Feng smiled slightly and said to himself, "Definitely, with me here, it is impossible to lose." 55 As he spoke, he saw that some of the fireballs from the remaining remnants had passed him and fell towards the army below. Then came the growing swarm of insects, about 70 million in number, covering the entire sky, making people feel frightened and desperate. "Oh, you one-eyed dragon, you finally gave up." Tang Feng was ready to make another move, and when he noticed the movement below, he looked down and smiled. "I saw that in the air below, an aircraft carrier cancelled its invisibility, appeared, and its cannons fired, intercepting part of the falling remnants. For the rest, Magneto and Lorna worked together to control the magnetic field, which simply intercepted the fireballs from the remaining remnants, offset the impact, and threw them into an open space, forming a hill." Tang Feng retracted his gaze, Roar let out a sigh and attacked. There are still many Zerg. In order to reduce casualties, he has to clean it up again. Disaster, war, calamity, solar storm. First of all, the natural disaster war was used, because in order to maintain the dominance of the war, it was necessary to constantly consume energy. Before, he launched 4 natural disasters in one breath, so he had no spare energy to support. Now, with only 2 natural disasters, he can still do it. When the swarm above was completely covered by the war field, it was followed by the various energy rays condensed from the outside of the universe, forming a big river and brushing towards the swarm. The insect swarm sensed the danger and screamed loudly. According to their instinctive survival response, they crowded into groups and also used dark energy to form a protective cover. In this way, a dark giant insect ball appeared in the sky. As the solar storm passed, the huge worm ball shrank greatly, and a large number of cocaine corpses fell down, and the Zerg hidden inside continued to fly down with a scream. Roughly, there are still more than 30 million insect swarms left, which means that only half of them have been killed. Tang Feng did not have too many accidents. Each Zerg has a hard shell to protect itself, has strong vitality, and has various means of saving lives, so it is not so easy to die. Relatively speaking, this time, It was a good record to be able to kill half of the 70 million Zerg. Moreover, because of the war ability, he received the power of more than 30 million Zerg at once. His body suddenly felt full, and the level of the 5th level rose a little, approaching the level of the 6th level. It's just that it takes too much energy to break through the 6th level checkpoint. Even if all 100 million Zerg are wiped out, it is still impossible. Again, Tang Feng's eyes flashed. If no powerful Zerg came out to stop him, then he would use natural disasters to kill monsters. Unfortunately, this is just an illusion. When he was about to make another move, a powerful wave of energy burst out from the insect swarm, and the surrounding Zerg were swept away, leaving a large empty space. A green, humanoid insect also has sharp wings. It looks like a praying mantis with 2 tentacles on its head. Its body is slightly curved and its hands and feet are sharp. It is staring furiously at Tang Feng. It is undoubtedly a 5th level Zerg warrior, and it also has the ability to hide energy. Even in Tang Feng's detection field, when energy does not explode, it is not known. He originally wanted to attack Tang Feng with the insect swarm, but he did not expect that Tang Feng would be so terrifying and natural disasters could continuously trigger. If he continued like this, before he got close, the swarm would die. Therefore, he had no choice but to choose to act in advance and reveal his whereabouts. With a bang, his figure disappeared in an instant. The flying speed was very fast, and he flew behind Tang Feng in the next second. Green energy condensed into claws, crossed and swept towards him. Tang Feng's face condensed, and he had already predicted it before through field exploration. He quickly turned around and the calamity condensed into a pair of arms to block the attack. Tang Feng and this Zerg warrior fought, and the remaining Zerg swarm was no longer a threat. Finally, they were able to fly down, shouting non-stop, "Carol, didn't you say that the Zerg only reached a 5th level Blade Queen?" During the battle with the Blade Queen, Qin noticed the change on Tang Feng's side and shouted in confusion, "I don't know either. However, you don't have to worry, a mere 5th level won't be Tang Feng's opponent." Carol blocked Queen Blade's attack and took the time to speak. "HMPH, you are wrong to think this way. Akapo is the guardian warrior of our Zerg, and he is not as simple as a mere 5th level. Any guardian warrior must not only have a 5th level combat power, but also a receiving skill. Do you know what receiving skill is? What it does is that no matter how far away you are, you can receive the power of our great insect king." Queen Blade temporarily stopped attacking, and when it came to the insect king, she was full of excitement and astonishment, and it was determined that Tang Feng was defeated. Chapter 221 The Self-Destruction of the Aircraft Carrier. What? No, Tang Feng is in danger. After hearing Queen Blade's words, Qin's heart was chaotic. He knew that Tang Feng was very strong, but if he faced the power of the true god, his life might be in danger, he said in a panic. Because of the distraction, Queen Blade saw a flaw and fought with Carol, forcefully pulled away, rushed towards Qin, condensed a sphere of dark energy, threw it forcefully, and flew towards her. "Jin, be careful." Carol had no time to stop. She could only shout to remind him. Qin woke up with a start, and before he could react, he saw that the sphere of dark energy had reached the front and then exploded. With a bang, the piano flew out, and the vibranium version of the steel battlesuit seemed to be damaged. Fortunately, the defense was not completely broken yet, protecting the piano. Facts have proved that there is no metal that can never be broken in the world. As long as it is strong, it can destroy everything. Qin, focus on fighting the enemy first. Just receiving the power of the Insect King does not mean that he is a true god. 09, so Tang Feng will have a way to resist. Carol hurried over and entangled Queen Blade as she said, "Well, I see." Qin nodded in response with lingering fear and did not dare to distract herself any further. She could only choose to rely on Tang Feng, gritted her teeth, burst out the Phoenix Force, and rushed towards Queen Blade. In the sky, the figures of the three women were still staggering and struggling endlessly. Queen Blade's body already had injuries. Carol also had a wound on her face, her eyes almost hurting. Jin was not injured for the time being, but the vibranium version of the steel battlesuit has gradually been corroded by the dark energy and cannot last too long. Without the protection of the steel battlesuit, there is no 100% safety guarantee with the protection of the Phoenix Force alone. Compared to the battle between the two women, Tang Feng had the upper hand from the start and secured victory. If there had been no accidents, he would have killed the Zerg guards soon. But this is impossible. Just as the Zerg guards broke free from the gravitational pull, in a trance, time was suspended again and Tang Feng was hit again. The hard shell had been broken by the calamity and a wound appeared. Green blood is splashing out, his eyes were red, he growled in a low voice, flapped his wings, and his body that was flying upside down stabilized in the air, and he had already made up his mind. He can receive the power of the Insect King, but he has to pay the price of life and can only receive it once in a lifetime. Until the moment of life or death, it will not be accepted. It is a matter of life or death now. Therefore, he began to receive the power of the Insect King. Just as Tang Feng was about to seize the victory, he was startled when he saw a stronger dark energy gushing out from the worm on the opposite side. He sensed the danger. He didn't hesitate and made the decision decisively. Waiting for the enemy to become stronger before thinking about attacking is stupid. Boom! Tang Feng condensed a large calamity sphere, threw it at the bugman, squinted at the explosion site, and frowned. The detection field couldn't detect the situation, and a powerful dark energy interfered. He had a solemn expression and didn't need to guess to know that the bugman was not dead. Judging from the gradually increasing dark energy, it is estimated that there were no injuries. The natural disaster was a supernova explosion. Tang Feng shouted loudly, raised his hands high, and the calamity continued to pour out, condensing a 100-meter ball, and then countless rays of scorching energy converged and attached to the calamity ball. In just a few seconds, a kilometer-sized ball appeared, exuding the heat of scorching the earth. The outside was red, and the center was a dull red light of disaster, like a small sun. In essence, the scorching energy gathered was drawn out by the power of the solar storm. However, after adding the calamity, and then according to the destructive effect, it was given a new name. Immediately afterwards, Tang Feng threw the small sun to the place where the bugman was. During the flight, the small sun kept shrinking, and shrinking again. Due to the constant compression of energy, when the small sun reached the bugman's place, it was only 10 meters in size. Then, it suddenly exploded. This explosion was like the explosion of the sun, but it was much less powerful. At the moment of the explosion, endless rays of light and heat were emitted, and the power was astonishing, and a shockwave erupted, spreading all around. Tang Feng used his hands to protect his front and was pushed back by the shock wave for thousands of meters. Tang Feng made a huge ruckus above, and the people below were startled, busy resisting the swarm, and had no time to look up. "Director, we can't stop it. Everyone retreat, open self-destruct." On the aircraft carrier, Nick Fury hurriedly threw out a few high-energy bombs, exploding the bugs in front of him, and then took the lead in the escape pod and ejected to the ground. Phil Coulson and others also quickly chose an escape pod and ejected. Some agents arrived at the escape pod too late, were torn apart by the thrashing Zerg, and were devoured on the spot. Because there were too many bugs around, the escape pod that was ejected was attacked. Fortunately, the escape pod also had an attack method. One after another, laser beams shot out in all directions, killing the oncoming Zerg. Nick Fury was the first to land safely, opened the hatch, walked out, gasped, and looked up, only to see that the aircraft carrier exploded, killing a large number of its worth it. He said, gritting his teeth, having no time to be distressed, and looked around the tragic battlefield, holding that the insect is holding a weapon in his left hand and a special long gun in his right hand, rushing towards an insect. 50 million soldiers have been torn apart by more than 30 million insect swarms. Because there are all kinds of hot weapons, ordinary people can kill insects. Insects can definitely also kill humans by relying on the advantages of the insect's body and various strange abilities. The tank was bombing, and a large insect overturned the tank. The fighter planes strafed in the sky, opened fire, and it didn't take long for them to be majestic, and they were crushed by the insects and were not afraid of death. Thor droids, steel droids, and Sentinel have also joined the battlefield and are slaughtering insects. Because of vibranium, the Thor robot has a strong defense, and even if there are many insects, it is not so easy to damage it. Only some insects with special abilities can harm these robots with corrosive saliva, corrosive dark energy, slender tentacles, or energy light waves. Very few robots were damaged, and the reason for the damage was that the bugs penetrated through the gaps in the armor, destroying the circuit system inside, and they stopped moving. This kind of thing, Sentinel does not have. They can convert different skills according to different situations, plus the defense of vibranium, as an unstoppable killing machine. So far, the number has not decreased. The steel robot is the worst, because it is an ordinary mass-produced type. As long as a bug approaches, it will be torn apart, so the number of 10,000 is constantly decreasing. Chapter 222 The Power of the Insect King. They are not a puny steel droid. Thor and Sentinel droids are the mainstays of the battle against the Zerg. Shuru's leopard-type spaceship is also the main force of the battlefield, attracting millions of bugs and fighting fiercely in the air. Without the shield, it would simply explode like Nick Fury's aircraft carrier. In addition, the Avengers and a group of third-level mutants are also the main force against the Zerg. The craziest ones are Hulk, Juggernaut, Thing-Man, and Wolverine. They have strong body defense, plus the vibranium version of the steel battlesuit. They simply don't care about being attacked at all, just attack as much as they want. The four of them had already killed like crazy. As long as it was a bug, they would kill, kill, kill. Among them, Hulk roared and laughed weirdly, and saw that he was holding a big axe in his right hand, and with his brute strength, no matter what kind of insects, no matter how big they were, they could be smashed with one axe. With the help of artificial intelligence, he jumped from time to time and flew towards the big insects, smiling and hacking them to death one by one. He suddenly felt that it was great to be able to fly. Hulk, he likes to fly. Hearing Hulk's roar, the captain also wore the vibranium version of the battlesuit, killed a bug, and sighed, "I didn't expect Hulk to be able to fly so flexibly." Although Hulk is smart and can learn, it is also unbelievable, just like watching a panda fly. I thought so too, and only Tang Feng dared to think of this kind of thing, and he succeeded in making Hulk fly. The Black Widow cooperated with the battle and nodded in response. She was also wearing the vibranium version of the steel battlesuit, just like Hawkeye and others, so her safety was guaranteed and she could attack as she pleased. However, the vibranium version of the steel battlesuit was not immune to any kind of attack, and the Thor droid was gradually destroyed. So even with the protection of the battlesuit, if it weren't for body mutants like Wolverine, it was better to be careful. "Get ready, attack!" Magneto shouted in a condensed voice, reaching out and clenching his fist. Lorna stepped aside and did the same. As the two of them exerted their strength at the same time, the magnetic field was unleashed, and a large amount of metal flew upwards, forming a metal storm, which kept killing the insects in the sky. Among them, some powerful insects resisted, and charged towards the two with a shrill roar. Magneto snorted coldly, and 3 vibranium spears flew upwards, piercing through the holes, killing the rushing insects one by one. With his magnetic control combined with the vibranium cold weapon, the attack power is already very strong, and no insect can withstand it, unless it is level 5. Level 5 does not. But there are also level 4 and level 3 insects. Although the Zerg wins by numbers, it is difficult for high-level insects to be born, but that does not mean that there are really few. Among the 100 million Annihilation Zerg that arrived, there were still many high-level insects left on the battlefield, except for the unlucky ones that died in the hands of Tang Feng, Qin, and Carol. There are about 500 at the 3rd level and more than 20 at the 4th level. For humans who perform well on the battlefield and kill more insects, they are the hunting targets of these 3rd and 4th level insects. "Dad, be careful." With Wanda's strong reminder, he used the power of Crimson Chaos to restrain a humanoid insect that was attacking Magneto in time. The insect roared, broke free from the Crimson power, turned around and attacked Wanda. Wanda did not panic, and calmly used her strength to form a protective shield to block the insect's attack. This is undoubtedly a 4th-level insect. She cannot be distracted, suppressing her worries about Magneto and the others and focusing on the enemy. Follow me closely and don't get lost. Magneto did not turn his head, exhorted Lorna, and solemnly looked at the 2 insects flying in the sky. The metals he controlled, except for the vibranium spear, could not break through their defenses at all. Lorna hummed softly and followed closely behind Magneto, cooperating with the attack, while at the same time paying attention to the surrounding situation to avoid being attacked. Almost at the same time, Charles, Black Queen, Wolverine, Juggernaut, Thing, Hulk, all encountered level 4 insects. Although Juggernaut, Stone Man, and Golden Steel Wolf are not really level 4 combat power, their performance also makes level 4 insects be regarded as equal opponents. Moreover, because the number of the 4th level is greater than that of humans, these intelligent high-level insects are all 2-on-1, and rarely 1-on-1. Magneto and the others only fought 1-on-2, and the rest of the group faced more 3rd-level insects, at least 2, 3, 4, and even 5. For a time, Linger, White Queen, Scott and others fell in a tough battle. If it weren't for the protection of the vibranium version of the steel battlesuit, there is also the support of robots from time to time, and there are ordinary soldiers around who are not afraid of life and death. Otherwise, the group may beat them to death. The overall battlefield is caught in hand-to-hand combat. For the time being, it is impossible to tell who wins and who loses. In the war between more than 30 million Zerg and 50 million humans, all parties also have 3rd and 4th level combat power. Load. It is a pity that Jean and Carol are fighting against Queen Blade. Even if they have the upper hand with the advantage of 2 enemies and 1, they will not be able to kill Queen Blade in a short time. In addition to Tang Feng, he was already in danger. The supernova explosion did not interrupt the Insect Man's movement to receive the power of the Insect King. It was still ongoing, and it ended before Tang Feng continued to attack. I saw that the Insect Man's body was half defective, one left hand was missing, and his wings were destroyed. This was the damage caused by the supernova explosion just now. However, Tang Feng did not relax. A powerful dark energy enveloped the worm, causing it to fly out of nowhere. Those dark eyes stared at Tang Feng, as if they were watching from the abyss. Vertical bar. The powerful, Nuo-Ki Onja, human beings, under the mighty power of my king, become desperate. The Bugman spoke for the first time, his voice hoarse and rough, like the friction of sand. After he finished speaking, he opened his mouth and launched a dark energy light cannon. Tang Feng also used the force of calamity, stretched out his hand, launched a calamity shock wave, and collided with it. The 2 rays are at a stalemate. The Bugman was shocked, but he didn't expect that the calamity could resist, not collapse with a touch. He strengthened his strength, and then gradually approached Tang Feng against the shock wave. Tang Feng gritted his teeth and also strengthened his strength, but he was still unable to resist. The characteristic power of the true god is stronger than the calamity. In the end, the dark energy light cannon faced the shock wave, collided with Tang Feng, and exploded. Chapter 223 Death, Return. Roar. The air wave from the explosion rose up, and Tang Feng's figure was revealed. Very embarrassed, half of their body was destroyed, revealing the elemental form. With the characteristics of elementalization, Tang Feng returned to his original state, but he used a lot of power and took a few breaths. The enemy has become stronger and has exceeded the scope of level 5. Victory is no longer certain. So, call him again. Tang Feng showed a ruthless look, just like when he fought to the death with Dracula, the ancestor of the vampire. He was also fighting to the death, and he would not think about anything, neither the death of the worm nor the death of the worm. He couldn't have died anyway. Boom. Tang Feng used his hands to protect the front and was knocked back. The worm attacked him while he was distracted. Immediately afterwards, the worm disappeared in front of Tang Feng. Tang Feng's pupils shrank, and in the god vision in the exploration field, the insect man appeared behind him, condensing a large amount of dark energy, the same as dark energy, Insect King dark energy, stronger than level 1, and stronger than the disaster. Tang Feng narrowed his eyes slightly and whispered to himself, "Time is suspended." After using the power of time, he felt that the surroundings had stopped. He was already familiar with this kind of thing. He turned around, clenched his fist, and was about to punch the insect man. What he didn't expect was that the insect man hit him in the face first, and half of his face scattered on the spot, and the dark red calamity spread into the air. Tang Feng's only left eye was stunned as he flew back. He didn't expect to test Bailing's time power, and there would be a day when he would fail. The power of time? In front of my king's supreme divine power, it doesn't work at all. The bug man flew towards Tang Feng, grabbed half of Tang Feng's head with one hand, walked over, stared at Tang Feng's left eye, and said with contempt, "Those who reach the existence of the true God have the power to resist the influence of time and space. Therefore, the force of time wants to affect the bug man, unless the strength of the force is stronger than that of the insect king." Ha 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 ha. Tang Feng let out a laugh, and then laughed wildly. "What are you laughing at, human?" the worm asked curiously. "I'm laughing. Don't underestimate me. I'm just a mere power of the true God. I'm not qualified to defeat me." After Tang Feng said harshly, the half-destroyed face was terrifyingly terrifying, and the automatic elementalization broke away from the bug man's hand, swept away, and appeared on the other side, returning to its original state. Joke. The power of the true God is supreme, and with the power of a mere mortal like you, you can't resist it at all. The insect man didn't care that Tang Feng was out of control and said with a snort, "Then I'll prove it to you." Tang Feng gritted his teeth and finished speaking, staring at the bug man with a murderous look, and said word by word, "Destroy it." Calamity. Order collapsed. This is his full strength. When launching the natural disaster, he had no other thoughts, only the firm idea of killing the bug people, reversing reality. Words will come true. This is a supreme power that follows the law. With the power of the 5th level, it is no worse than the power of the true God. In fact, if it weren't for the destruction of the planet, every natural disaster that Tang Feng used would be several times stronger if it were at full strength. The power of destroying planets is no joke. Now, this planet-destroying force has faced the worms alone, trying to annihilate it. The bugman sensed the lethal attack, showed a look of panic, instinctively screamed. All the dark energy burst out, formed a dark ball, and enveloped it. I only saw that a power that reversed reality descended on the dark sphere. Silently, a large amount of dark energy was evaporating, gradually shrinking the sphere, until the body of the worm was revealed. In the desperate gaze of the insect man, his body started from the foot and disappeared slowly and steadily. Even with the resistance of the dark energy, he can't stop the body from disappearing. Seeing this, Tang Feng was about to breathe a sigh of relief when he saw the worms burst out in despair. "Even if I die, I won't make you feel better." The insect man looked at Tang Feng resentfully and tried his best to receive more power from the insect king. When his body disappeared under his head, he had already received almost half of the insect king's dark energy. Then, he pointed in Tang Feng's direction, forming a wave of dark energy light, all of which were emitted. Then, he completely disappeared from the world. "Damn it!" Tang Feng cursed, not letting him feel better when he was dying. If he didn't catch the dark energy light wave, it would pierce the planet below and explode. He can only block. Just after using all his strength, Tang Feng fell into a state of exhaustion and weakness. He raised his spirits and shouted, using an unused natural disaster. "Calamity, space collapse." This is a force of space, and the force of space collapse will swallow everything, like a black hole. The power of the black hole can only be used at the level of a true god. Tang Feng does not yet have the ability to do so, so he can only rank second. He borrowed the characteristics of space collapse to swallow the dark energy light wave. Easy. I saw that on the root of the dark energy light wave, the power of space collapse caused a huge crack in the void. Inside the crack, there was a chaotic and dangerous spatial turbulence, and all kinds of strange visions flashed past. According to legend, in turbulent space, you can lead to countless worlds, as long as you can save your life. Undoubtedly, the spatial turbulence is so strong that it can kill even true gods. But what resists the dark energy light waves are only the cracks leading to the spatial turbulence. Under the impact of the dark energy light waves, the cracks that opened are closing. That's right, it shouldn't be opening, but closing. Tang Feng was stunned for a moment, and finally noticed a consciousness attached to the dark energy light wave. Insect King? He subconsciously guessed this possibility. The power of the Insect King can be transmitted to the insect people, and the Insect King's consciousness can also follow along. It's just that the Insect King's consciousness was silently hidden because it was the Insect Man who used his power. Seeing that the Insect Man's last counterattack power had to be blocked by Tang Feng's clever use of spatial turbulence, the Insect King would definitely not accept it. Therefore, the Insect King consumes this consciousness and controls the dark energy light wave to close the crack. The remaining power is still very strong and can still destroy Tang Feng and the planet together. You can't let the Insect King succeed. Tang Feng thought. Regardless of his weak mental state, he used the power of time again to cover the crack. Under the action of the force of time, the crack returned to its original appearance. Tang Feng maintained the two natural disasters of time and space. He was very tired physically and mentally. He was struggling to hold it. He was also wary of the Insect King's consciousness, for fear that the Insect King would cause trouble again. Perhaps it was because of a consciousness that couldn't do too much. The Insect King remained silent and didn't try to do anything. Finally, Tang Feng felt completely relieved when he saw that the dark energy light waves were about to enter the crack. HMPH, ignorant humans, do you think you will win? The riots of space and time, even true gods are afraid. You are lucky to try now. 995 The Insect King's remaining consciousness disappeared as this sentence came out. Before Tang Feng understood what it meant, he saw an energy wave gushing out from the crack, which was the residual dark energy light wave, and it was detonated by the Insect King. The explosion of the dark energy light wave seems to have set off a terrifying chain reaction. Spatial turbulence erupted from the crack. It happened to encounter the force of time that has not recovered. The two forces are entangled, and a terrifying fluctuation appears. It is a kind of fluctuation that can destroy everything. Time does not exist, space does not exist, and everything in the world will return to the state of chaos. Not only the blue star, but also the solar system cannot escape. Tang Feng's pupils tightened, and he felt that the wave of destruction was about to spread. In the blink of an eye, without waiting for him to think about it, he had already taken action. Regardless of whether he is qualified or not, he seeks the power of destiny and breaks into the source of destiny by force. To borrow the power of destiny, just as at the 4th level, you can use natural disaster to jump over. You can also use the real power of destiny at the 5th level. It's just that the price will be greater, and if you borrow the power of the source of destiny once, you may sleep for a long time. In this critical situation, Tang Feng had no choice but to do so. At the moment when he successfully borrowed the source of destiny, he seemed to have become heaven, earth, planet, merging with all things, and merging with the entire universe. His thinking speed has become very fast, faster than any computer, and many unthinkable things have been discovered in less than a second now. This state is like the Tao of heaven, like the Tao. He already has a way to deal with the aftermath. Therefore, Tang Feng snapped his fingers first, and all the insects on the battlefield turned into ashes and disappeared. The Sword Queen also looked at her gray body in fear, shook her head, and her face was unacceptable, far away from the cosmic void. The remaining 700 spaceships also turned into ashes, and the wormhole could no longer be opened. After doing this, Tang Feng looked at Qin, then looked at everyone on the battlefield, then looked at Atlantis in the distance, and saw his younger sister, Lisa, who was watching the live broadcast with a worried expression. In the end, he let out a nostalgic sigh, enveloped the wave of destruction with the power of destiny, and rushed into the spatial turbulence together. Until now, everything has calmed down and the war has been won. Everyone looked up blankly, and Tang Feng was gone. Atlantis, Lily watched the live video and cried bitterly, and the shadow cat beside her was also crying. Tang Feng. Qin screamed in fright, flying towards the place where Tang Feng disappeared, screaming non-stop, and stretched out from a distance. She couldn't sense Tang Feng. No, no. Linger fell to the ground with her eyes rolled back. He's so strong, he can't, how is it possible? The flickering was very terrifying, and even the space channel couldn't be opened with trembling hands. Liar, you are so strong, liar, liar. Sky stayed in the safe underground research room, staring at the surveillance video, covering her head with her hands, and trembling desperately in pain. How could you die before my old man? Magneto walked out of the broken battlesuit, covered his abdominal wound, and said in tears. Lorna, Wanda, also burst into tears, unwilling to accept the fact that Tang Feng disappeared. That bastard just died? I thought he would lead everyone to victory, but I didn't let him die. Idiot, the king cried sadly. Doctor Strange, the magicians also fell silent, sighing sadly. Everyone couldn't believe that Tang Feng just disappeared. However, Tang Feng didn't appear again, so they had to believe a cruel fact. Tang Feng disappeared and died. For the victory of humanity, he sacrificed himself and died. Is it that big? Tony didn't believe it, so he continued to let Jarvis search the world, and all he got was the report that there was no such person. An hour after the end of the war, the armies of various countries are clearing the battlefield. The wizards had already left, and only the king chose to stay, sitting on the battlefield, sadly thinking about the past. The Avengers and the other side and were about to leave. All the mutants were also grieving, no longer fantasizing about any miracles, and had to leave this sad place. A miracle happened. Without warning, Tang Feng reappeared in the place where he had disappeared, and there was an inexplicable and awe-inspiring temperament. Everyone, long time no see. Tang Feng looked at everyone, waved his hand, and shouted happily. Tang Feng! Tang Feng! Tang Feng! Tang Feng! Tang Feng! A loud roar came out. He couldn't believe it. He was very happy, he was shocked, he was ecstatic, he was excited. The word Tang Feng contained many complex emotions. Tang Feng looked at everyone kindly and showed a bright smile like a wanderer returning home. It was an exciting adventure, and fortunately, he returned successfully. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 1 God of Fate, The Different Fates of Heroes. From disappearance to reappearance, Tang Feng seems to be only an hour away, but in fact he has gone through a very long adventure. After pushing the wave of destruction back to the turbulent space, Tang Feng was still in the state of the God of Destiny, and the supreme power was still there. He passed through the turbulent space and randomly entered a parallel world. When the new world first appeared, at that moment, he knew which world was Destiny. Too late to think about it, the state of Destiny has dissipated, and the power has fallen from the true God level to the end, until there is no strength to maintain the integrity of the body. It is dispersed into dull red energy and integrated into this world. The aftermath of forcibly borrowing Destiny is coming. Tang Feng will fall into a long sleep. This time is not short, and it is roughly estimated that it will take several thousand years. If Tang Feng was sleeping in the original universe, then when he woke up, all the people he knew were already dead, and Blue Star would change drastically. As soon as the awakening comes, will the world turn upside down? Will familiar people be gone? This result is definitely unacceptable. So, in the state of God of Destiny, Tang Feng thought of a solution. Using the effect of spatial turbulence to travel to a parallel world, after awakening from a dream in the parallel world, and after having enough power, travel back to the original universe, so that the terrible consequences of the dream can be avoided. Just like the plot of Avengers 4. The superhero traveled to the past through the quantum realm. No matter how long they stayed, it was only a few minutes when they returned. Another example is Ant-Man, who spent 5 minutes in the quantum realm, but 5 years have passed in the outside world. This is because different worlds have different time flow rates. Coupled with the problem of crossing, it will cause this situation. Because of this, no matter how long Tang Feng stayed in the parallel universe, when he returned to the original universe, it was estimated to be a very short period of time. In this way, Tang Feng slept peacefully in the parallel universe. In this parallel universe, it is also a blue star, just a few thousand years ago. As time passed, thousands of years gradually passed. Under the influence of Tang Feng's invisible, this parallel universe, which is very similar to the Marvel world, has undergone great changes. Someone must have wondered, Tang Feng has been sleeping, why can it affect the development of the world? This is because before Tang Feng fell asleep, he borrowed the power of the source of destiny and had a very deep understanding of destiny. When he completely woke up from his deep sleep, he would naturally break through the 5th level, become the true god of the 6th level. In other words, Tang Feng can now be said to be a pseudo-god in a dormant state. Coupled with the power of destiny, what he can do is even more powerful than a true god. Therefore, after the first 1,000 years of slumber, Tang Feng has gradually shown signs of awakening. He is in a state of being in a state of slumber but not sleep. Under his unconsciousness, the great fate silently affects everyone in this parallel universe. Just like the legendary existence of heaven, the sleeping Tang Feng is controlling everyone's fate. So, this Marvel world has changed a lot, very different. The Marvel world of the parallel universe, May 21, 2011. On this day, the world has experienced a sudden change, or a miracle. Someone had already been hit by a car, but he slapped his butt and stood up. Some patients have died, and the doctor in charge has already announced that they are dead, but the next moment they open their eyes and are cured. Someone jumped off the building and a strong wind blew and left him hanging on the balcony. Someone accidentally fell into the water, but he did not drown. Only a piece of driftwood floated beside him. Many of these miracles happened at the same time. In addition, there are even stranger things. It is obviously going to rain, there will be thunderclouds and lightning, and it will turn into a sunny day in the blink of an eye. There will be a typhoon today, which will go deep into the coastal area and suddenly disappear. An earthquake with an intensity of magnitude 6 or above is about to occur in an area, and it will be mute just after 1 or 2 tremors. As if it were a joke, a civil aviation plane crashed, and it turned out that there were no deaths or injuries. In fact, it was the biggest joke. All kinds of jokes. SHIELD, which monitors the world, also learned about them one by one. Today is April Fool's Day. Still, one-eyed Nick Fury frowned and asked the crowd. Phil Coulson shook his head. Hill was silent and did not know how to answer. This kind of thing was so weird, so weird. In addition to these 3 people, there are 5 people here, 3 men and 2 women. One is Captain M, one is Peggy Carter who is still beautiful, one is Hawkeye, one is Winter Soldier with a steel right arm, and the last one is Black Widow. From these strange events, I have an inexplicable hunch. Perhaps it was caused by the god of destiny. Could it really be? The captain looked puzzled. For some reason, he only thought of this reason and said tanguledly, he has always had a kind of confusion, and his life seems to be guided by the god of destiny. When he was weak, it seemed as if someone was telling him, stick to justice in your heart, there will be rewards in the end, and you will become a great captain. So, he really passed the super soldier test, became the first person to accept the experiment, and became the captain. The night before the final battle, he had a dream about what he had frozen. In the end, during the decisive battle, the dream was exactly the same, but fortunately, he took a flying device with doubts, otherwise he could only be frozen together. In this way, he had doubts about the existence of the god of fate, and when he heard these strange things, he subconsciously thought of the god of fate. I believe in the existence of the god of fate, and it is what keeps me alive. Winter Soldier nodded solemnly and sighed, because before an action against Hydra, he also had a dream, knowing that he would fall off a cliff due to an accident. With precautions, he escaped the life or death crisis without any risk. After escaping the catastrophe and looking up at the cliff with lingering fears, he saw the miserable fate of another Winter Soldier in a trance. He couldn't help but believe that this was a blessing from the god of fate, who changed his fate. He asks for flowers. Therefore, he believes in the existence of a god of fate. Maybe the god of fate really exists. However, why didn't he keep Erskine alive? Wrestler, Paige Carter said regretfully. She has always regretted the death of Dr. Erskine. If he didn't die, more serums, more super soldiers, would be made. It's a pity that the God of Fate did not favor Dr. Erkins, but after making 5 bottles of serum, he killed Hydra. She is also very grateful to the God of Fate. The 4th bottle of serum was stolen by Hydra. She thought she had no hope of getting it back, but a voice was guiding her in the direction she was looking for, allowing her to find the Hydra member who stole the serum. In the process of fighting, although she successfully killed the enemy, she was also seriously injured and was in a state of death. In a trance, she heard another voice. "If fate existed, I would be grateful for it," Black Widow said with emotion. 4 of the 5 serums were used by Captain Nick Fury, Peggy Carter, and the accomplished Winter Soldier. The remaining bottle was originally not for the rest of the group. However, because Hydra wanted to snatch the last bottle of serum, while fighting with the captain and others, she accidentally dropped the serum into the undercurrent of the river, and could not find it immediately, and did not know where it drifted. Then, after a series of coincidences, Black Widow, who was still a child, picked it up from the river. Due to a cold, her brain was not clear, so she drank the serum in a confused manner. Then a miracle happened. Just like Carter, with a bottle of serum, she successfully transformed into a super soldier. After that, the agent of the Red House wants to catch Black Widow and train her as an agent. With the power of Black Widow, she definitely stood up to resist. Without actual combat experience, she always escaped in a thrilling way with her superb fighting ability and modified physical fitness. During this process, she also felt the guidance of the God of Fate in a trance, and the escape route was in the direction of S.H.I.E.L.D. After all, S.H.I.E.L.D. noticed Black Widow, knew that Black Widow had drunk the serum by mistake and became the ultimate super soldier, so she extended a helping hand and accepted her into S.H.I.E.L.D. Because of these personal experiences, Black Widow also learned from the captain and others that they have all been guided by the God of Fate, and she is the same. She believes in the existence of the God of Fate, but she is not sure. Just like ordinary believers, although they believe in the existence of God, they are also suspicious in their hearts. Unless the God of Fate really appears, otherwise, the captain and the others will be hesitant. If it weren't for the fact that my own experience was too strange, maybe I wouldn't believe it at all. Chapter 2. Tang Feng wakes up from his dream. When S.H.I.E.L.D. held a meeting because of today's strange events, they didn't know that the half-believer God of Fate had appeared. After sleeping for thousands of years, Tang Feng finally fully woke up. Because he just woke up from deep sleep, the power of the true God did not fully converge, and some power leaked out, and the power with the nature of fate slightly affected the entire blue star. Tang Feng's unintentional influence not only alarmed Nick Fury and others, but also alarmed some people. The Supreme Sorcerer Elder sat in Camartage, clasped the Eye of Agamotto in one hand, and sighed worriedly. The God of Fate that has been dormant for thousands of years has finally awakened, and I don't know whether it is luck or human misfortune. Odin, who was far away in Asgard, sat on the throne. His eye opened sharply, and he also felt the breath of the true God coming from the blue star. God can live in peace. After speaking, he also sighed and worried. The Dark Monarch Dormammu, who originally wanted to cause trouble, was also frightened by the breath of the true God. As long as the God of Fate was still there, he would not dare to invade. The Demon King of Hell looked at the world with regret and temporarily retreated, for existence is above the 5th level. They have always known that Lan Xing is the God of Fate who is dormant. Everyone expected that the God of Fate would awaken one day, but they didn't expect it to be like this. Today, Tang Feng knew that the power that leaked out when he woke up must have alarmed the Elder and the others, but he didn't care. Right now, he is the God of Fate. Although he is only level 6, with the supreme power of destiny, he can leapfrog and defeat the level 7 true God. The true God is level 6, level 7, level 8. The current Tang Feng is standing on the top tower of the She-Stark building, standing against the wind, looking down at the bright and noisy night scene below, muttering to himself. If you want to go home, you can only do so with confidence if you become an 8th level true God. Level 6 can't do it, and level 7 is also unsafe, and the success rate is very low. There are many parallel universes. If the strength is not strong enough, It is impossible to find the way home accurately by crossing the parallel universe. There is a power system standard circulating in the Marvel universe. The 6th level is the first level of the true God, the 7th level is the peak of the single universe, and the 8th level is the multi-universe level. Literally, when a true God reaches level 7, he can become invincible in this universe. At level 8, you can go horizontally and vertically in the multi-universe. Multi-universe, that is, countless parallel universes. Therefore, being able to traverse vertically and horizontally in the multi-universe means that you can traverse parallel universes at will, and you can also accurately locate what kind of parallel universe you want to go to. Thinking like this, Tang Feng could only find a way to advance to level 8 as soon as possible so that he could go home. Although he has become a true God, he has initially come into contact with the power of the source of destiny and can understand destiny all of the time. However, the 8th level is not easy. If you want to naturally advance to the 8th level, it will take a long time. Tang Feng didn't want to wait so long, so he could only speed up the progression. As long as he uses the power of destiny a lot, he can deepen his understanding of the power of destiny in the process of using it, thereby speeding up the progression. Tony, it's been a long time since we last saw each other. I didn't expect you to become Iron Man. It's my fault. I'm sorry. Tang Feng had already made up his mind and felt that Tony was in this building, on a certain floor, flirting with the secretary. He missed the smile and appeared in front of Tony like a teleportation in the next moment, sighing. Tang Feng is already the true God. With the power of destiny, he can already do anything, and there are no more disasters and natural disasters. He is now the God of destiny. Sheet, who are you? How did you suddenly appear? Jarvis. 35. Tang Feng's sudden appearance shocked Tony and the secretary. Tony could barely calm down and quickly called Roar Jarvis. The secretary next to him was not so calm and was already yelling in panic, "Shut up and disappear." Tang Feng thought the secretary was annoying and snapped his fingers. The secretary immediately shut up, and then disappeared without a trace. What about people? Tony looked at Tang Feng in horror, then turned to look at the place where the secretary disappeared. Not to mention the shadows, the ghosts were gone. "Sir, what are your orders?" Jarvis's calm voice came from the building's communication equipment. "Turn on the defense system immediately and subdue him for me." Tony kept backing away, pointing at Tang Feng and shouting. He was frightened. He didn't want to disappear without warning like the secretary, and his life and death were unknown. "Sir, I didn't detect anyone. Are you hallucinating?" "No, the secretary just disappeared strangely, and now he seems scared and doesn't seem to be pretending. According to my analysis, 99% of what you said is true. I will try to attack." After Jarvis' analysis, the building's defense system was called up, and several thermal weapons were deployed from the wall, aiming in the direction of Tang Feng. "Forget it. You are still a mortal's heart and there is nothing to talk about. When you become Iron Man, we will meet again." Just as Tang Feng shook his head and finished speaking, countless bullets were fired, and then his figure disappeared out of thin air. "It seems that the world has changed a lot because of my unconscious influence." Tang Feng appeared out of thin air in the silent night sky. He said faintly, in Shen Mian's unconsciousness, he didn't quite know how much the world had been affected and how much it had changed. All the changes affected are not entirely his original intention, because this is what he does unconsciously, just like in a dream. What he wants to do in a dream, he never wants to do it when he is awake. Tony is like this. Tang Feng knows him anyway, and doesn't want him to get hurt or suffer in Shen Mian's house. Unconsciousness. So he has been living a stable life as a playboy. With Tang Feng's care, Tony's parents died without accidental death. 4.7. So, Tony is still a playboy. How can that work? Tang Feng looked at the She-Stark building in the distance, smiled and snapped his fingers. When Tony was shocked by the strange situation of Tang Feng suddenly disappearing again, he couldn't help but shiver, as if something bad had happened. "I've had enough. This company is run by me so tinily that it can get to this point. He's just a playboy who can only play with women all day, so what if he can make it up? Without him, this company would still be the most important group in the world. Obadiah's disgust stains attitude towards Tony suddenly became intolerable and cruel. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.